Got
Oh, I found it. I found it.
Hold up.
Happy Von Winkle. I've never heard of that in my life.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of people here. But hey, that's all fine.
I'm using Discord through browser.
I believe we are live.
Who's playing Minecraft?
I'm playing Minecraft.
Okay.
If we want that in the background or not, I don't know.
No, that's fine, man. It might get blurry as fuck, but like it's fine. It's totally fine. But welcome everybody. Welcome to the third fucking episode of Monkey Business Podcast. And here today we got a couple of bruisers of different opposing sides. We got the I Catholic here, Roman Catholic, who is going to be the main opposer against Lord Explosion Murder. Hopefully I don't get fucking taken down on YouTube for that name, but she's going to be the main LGBTQ plus person on the show. So
LGBT, dude.
it's just LGBT?
Yeah, the Q was bullshit.
No
oh,
Q
the
plus
Q's
here.
bullshit.
This is a no
Okay.
Q plus zone, baby.
All right.
Fuck
I
the
see how
plus,
it
dude.
is.
We ain't doing that shit.
I see how it is. Why fuck the Q though? What does the Q do to you?
Huh?
What's wrong with the Q?
It's stupid, and the Q stands for what most of the community considers a slur, and it's not meant to be inclusive. The LGBT community was meant for people who experience same-sex attraction or gender dysphoria, and queer, simply to put it, is a fucking slur and doesn't count as either of those.
Okay. Okay, I see how it is. But is it possible that like they could have like pulled like black people, how they adopt the slur into their own language?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm a firm believer in using the word until it loses its meaning.
Oh, I don't like think it's like offensive or anything. My stance is just that like it's calling the LGBT community the queer community or grouping it in with the Q is the equivalent of calling black people the N community. So.
But I mean, it's totally fine for like in my opinion, as long as you don't say it with the ER at the end, I'm totally fine with somebody saying like, nigga or something.
Queer with the ER or N word?
No, I'm talking about the N word.
You can say queer. Queer is our word.
Yeah. So you feel like queer is just totally wrong. Like what is the definition of queer?
It means weird or abnormal.
It's just weird, right? Strange. Atypical.
So
yeah, that's why I don't think it like is an equivalent because I know like the history of queer like just means weird, but like the N word is like literally like because with like I guess being weird, you can't see weird as instantly as you can see color of skin.
I guess. So queer is not like an actual sexuality per se. It's just a bunch of weird people in that group.
You guys don't mind if I'm like multitasking, do you?
No, he's totally fine.
As long as you can keep conversation, I don't think anybody will mind.
I just have some art commissions that are due, and I need to crack down on them.
Okay, working lady. I mean, sir. Sorry.
Working man.
I am so sorry. Fuck me.
Bro, you gotta like keep up.
Dude, you're so right. I get it wrong every time. It's just that like it's just that like when I'm talking to somebody who sounds female, I can't help but consider that person female in conversation. Like I don't know if that's like something that's like
it's
offensive.
No, it's a bit weird. Like you can try your best, like because I have a coworker who's transgender, and I have no quarrel with him, but it's always kind of weird to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
I grew up around some like very masculine lesbians, so it's not too much of a problem for me.
Where the hell did you grow up, man?
I just, I got New York and Florida, bro. Like, it's very liberal.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. So they do have a lot of like butch lesbians.
They're following each other.
Of course.
For sure.
But it's just I don't know. I don't want to say it's weird because that sounds wrong, but it's different. That's for sure. It's super different when like I hear people say, "Oh, I like to be considered she, her, or he, him, or they, them. The they, them. I don't know. The they, them part. That one really gets me. That one
I'm very iffy
surprised
on
the fuck
people
out of
who
me.
use they them. Not gonna lie.
They. What does that mean? What does they, them mean?
Yeah, that's
Basically people who don't consider themselves either male or female. It's usually some sort of weird body dysmorphia combined with the delusion that you're not human.
Okay.
But if somebody uses they them, personally, I'm just gonna kind of go with it. But I'm not gonna like. Typically, I will resort to using a male or female pronoun for them, depending on how they look. But
Well, what if they get pissed off at you for saying like, oh, I'm just gonna call you a her or she?
well, I wouldn't do it to their face.
Yeah.
I'd be nice
And like
about it to their face, but
consider
like,
them that
I'm, like,
pronoun.
comfortable with my pronouns about it.
Okay, I see what you mean. But I mean, okay, do you feel that there's two genders and not this whole different slew of stuff?
Oh yeah, two genders. There are two genders, no doubt about it.
Okay, that's
I
good.
can
That's good,
I can
because that,
understand why some people would say otherwise, but there's two.
yeah, because that always like blew my fucking mind. Because I never saw how like people could
Yeah.
say, oh, I'm this thing, I'm a fucking, what do you call it? What, there's some more. There's definitely more that they talk about.
Gender star boy.
Yeah, I got a question about that. So, like, you know how before the multiple gender thing came out, how people were saying that transgender itself was like a third gender. How do you feel about that?
This thing. Like, okay, being trans isn't being a separate gender. Being trans is, by definition, transitioning from one side to the other. It's not
Yeah,
some
that's what I
weird
figured. I mean,
arbitrary-
it doesn't seem like people put much thought into that.
Yeah, trans men are men, trans women are women. That's my view on it.
So how old were you when you figured out you wanted to transition to being a male?
I've kind of felt this way my whole life, but I discovered the word trans when I was 11.
Hmm. Okay.
I discovered the word trans when I was 11. I came out when I was about 12, and I'm currently 17, so I've been living as male for a few years now.
Yeah. Have you like done? I'm not sure about the procedures or like whatever treatments they give you as a male moving to male, but have you
I'm not
gotten
on
any of them
hormones
done?
currently.
Hmm.
I'm not on anything currently, but I do plan on going on testosterone by the end of this year.
Okay.
I'm just in a iffy financial situation at the moment, so.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what's that like though? What's that like being like transgender person so young, or saying that you are the way you are so young at 12? Like, how did your family think about that?
My family was pretty unsupportive. My dad actually kicked me out,
ugh.
and I've been living with my mom since.
Hmm.
But hold on, I got it. My
No, you're
lamp was
fine.
just shining down on one of my wigs. That's scary. I don't want that to melt. But yeah, my dad kicked me out. A few of my friends were pretty accepting, but a few of them were like, "Wow, it's just a phase. You're gonna be over it next month." And then I wasn't over it, and I'm still not. And uh, a lot of my family has disowned me in the sense that they believe that it's a choice and that I'm some sort of weird pervert. But there are a few people that have stuck by me and stood up for me, and they've understood that this is something that I'm actually suffering with, and they're willing to help me no matter what, and I'm very grateful for them.
Oh, so you consider it like an act of suffering, being that you are the way you are at this moment.
Oh yeah, I hate it. Being trans is literally the worst. I would kill a man to identify as female in this body because okay, despite identifying as transgender, I wasn't born fully female. I was born intersex, and I feel like that might influence the way that I see myself, but um I haven't gotten any karyotypes done, but I do know for a fact that I do not have fully female internal organs. So that's a fun little tidbit.
Oh, oh, so you were
But
born with
yeah,
a defect.
yeah, basically. Sorry, my throat's a little.
No, you're fine. Okay. Wow. Holy shit. That's crazy.
Is it like a is it like something that like gets in the way of things, or is it just there?
Do you mean like my gender dysphoria or the intersex condition?
The intersex thing, like, are there any like you know, health problems?
Nothing I've experienced. My metabolism is really slow because my hormones are all fucky wucky, but
Did you have that when you were a kid or no?
oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And yeah, I've been diagnosed with depression since I was 8 or 9, I believe.
Mm. Yeah,
Has that
because
like affected puberty?
Yeah, I actually was diagnosed with depression around when I started puberty because that was when my brain kind of clicked, like, hey, this isn't right.
huh.
And everything was kind of like falling into place, like, oh no, this is not how my body should be. This is not right. And then that's when it really like hit me, like, oh, I'm a tranny. Got it.
So do you think that like a lot more happiness will come to you when you transition, or do you feel like no matter what,
Oh
you're
yeah,
always gonna go ahead?
um, pun intended. I'm being transitioning is gonna get a lot off my chest. I I've a lot of my mental state is heavily influenced by the fact that I don't feel right in my body and that it's very hard for me to get through a day without having a panic attack over the fact that, hey, people see me as female probably, and they don't recognize me as the man I identify as. And so when I am able to start hormones and get surgery, that's going to be a really big moment for me because that's going to be kind of the moment when I finally, my body aligns with my brain, and it's definitely going to improve my mental state a lot.
Okay, okay. I
Sorry if
mean,
I talk
damn.
too fast.
No, you're
I'm really
fine.
busy.
Like I really can't imagine what you're going through. Like I'm sure it's super stressful and it's like it's totally just out of your control. Like I don't know what I would do if I said that I was this way and I really, really feel this way and my whole family just fucking like tossed me aside like I'm like trash. Like I really
Yeah.
cannot relate to that. I mean, even though I'm like a black dude, like that's pretty fucked. That is really fucked. So I'm super sorry that you go through that stuff. I mean, how is it connecting with people though as a trans person? Like, would you say it's definitely
Uh,
hard?
do you mean like intimate relationships, friendships, work, school,
Yeah,
like
yeah, both really.
well, with like inter like intimate relationships, I actually struck gold in that department in the sense that my current significant other is very, very accepting, and despite identifying as a gay man, is perfectly fine being with me because he sees me as a man and nothing else. And I'm very grateful for that. I love him with my whole heart. We've been together since June of 2018.
Congrats.
But with friendships, usually I become the butt of the joke very quickly. Because despite being what the trans community calls stealth, in the sense that I don't like brag about being trans. Like if somebody were to ask me, "Hey, are you trans?" Oh yeah, no. If somebody were to ask me if I'm trans, if I didn't know them well enough, I'd say no, I'm just a feminine cisgender guy. And
Hmm.
yeah, but
Okay.
in that department, it's a little hard for me to make friends because they usually just pick on me and I get called a lot of names, and it very
What the
much makes
fuck?
me have a distaste towards them pretty quickly. But
Don't think they're friends to begin with if they're like already like making fun of you. Well,
yeah, I don't know.
they just typically make fun of the fact. Oh, they just poke fun at the fact that you're trans.
I recently had to drop a guy that I had been friends with for a while. We were pretty good bros. But because he found out, I told him that I was trans because he was being pretty creepy. This guy identified as bisexual, and he was pretty much in love with me, and he was sending me very weird, creepy messages, and he was making me really uncomfortable. And so in that moment, I came out as trans to him, and I was like, hey, can you please not send me that shit? It makes me like really feel really, really gross and dysphoric. And then it got worse, and he started
What the
calling me a lot
hell?
of slurs, fetishizing the fact that I'm transgender. Yeah,
S-
being really offensive. And despite someone who is, I have pretty hard skin. I don't get offended easily. But this guy was driving me insane, and he was just being a dick about it, and so I had to drop him. But
What the fuck? What was he saying? Was he just being like really sexually weird?
constant, yeah, constant harassment. I could not go a single day. I'm a junior in high school. I go to a culinary academy. We're both in the culinary lab together,
Mm-hmm.
and he would not leave me alone. I could literally be trying to do a project and he'd like come up behind me and start being really creepy. And I'm like, hey, leave me the hell alone. And he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. And he'd start like guilt tripping me. And I'm like, no, I'm not having any of that. Get the fuck away.
What the fuck? I mean, how much like toxicity do you face on like a daily basis as a trans person? I'm sure it's a fucking lot, especially being that you're on iFunny.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, could you like reword that question? I didn't quite catch what you said.
No, you're fine. I was just asking like how much toxicity is it that you face as a trans person, especially being that you're on
Oh,
iFunny and such.
definitely a lot. I've grown pretty immune to it. I've learned to fight back. I found a great group of other trans people on iFunny, and we usually just like talk to each other back and forth and be like, "Oh yeah, this dumbass messaged me today." We just kind of poke fun at that. And I've learned to fight back pretty well.
Okay.
There are only a few things that can really like actually trigger me to go into a panic attack. And it's rarely ever that those things are brought up because people don't know the specifics of my life and my past. And a lot of times people will try and trigger me and be like, The thing is, a lot of idiots like to think that trans people are only male to female and that they were assigned male and identify as women. And so a lot of transphobes will try and get to me by being like, oh, you're always going to be a man, you know? And I'm like, gee, I sure hope.
What the fuck? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was that many trans people on iFunny.
There
Wow.
are quite a few.
I
I don't know if, well, her account isn't that popular, but Joey Wheeler Meme Stealer,
nah,
she's
I've
one of my
never
close
heard of
friends.
her.
She's NPS.
No, I've never
Um,
heard. The only trans person I know about on iFunny is I think you pronounce her name is Maho, or yeah, I think that's how you say it.
Never heard of them.
That's a she actually. You gotta use
I
those correct
think Blood Drive
pronouns.
might be.
Blood Drive is not trans. For God's sakes, don't say that.
I mean,
No, Blood Drive is not trans. Blood Drive is possibly has autism, but he's not trans. And I don't say that as a joke either. Like we talked about this all last stream too, on with me and Zach. We were already talking about this for a while. Blood Drive is possibly autistic. He's not transgender
yeah,
though.
I don't. Not ironically though, there's like studies showing that there's like a high rate of like autism in like female to male and otherwise transitions.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I actually
I mean,
didn't
I
know about that.
think it's some. It might be like a correlation, not causation thing, kind of, because like there's like a lot of people
That
with
kind of limit.
autism just for different things. You
Yeah.
know, you're probably gonna
It
find more.
it probably has to do with the fact that, like gender dysphoria, autism occurs in the womb when the womb kind of goes fucky wucky and makes a mistake, and so it's probably in with the fact that gender dysphoria is caused by a hormone imbalance in the womb. So like the brain starts forming one way, and then the body is like, never mind, we're gonna form the other way.
Yeah,
And
I think it might have something to do with the fact that just a lot of people have like autism from like just regularly, and then we diagnose more and more people with it, and then you tend to find groups in groups, you know.
there's a lot of people with autism.
Wow. So Zach may have been fucked up ever since the womb. Oh my god. That's insane. Zach's
I
crazy
have
ass.
also been fucked up in the womb.
Shit, who hasn't? Everybody's been fucked up in the womb. But something that I wanted to touch on with you is you Lord Explosion Murder is this I'm sure you've heard of the whole drag queen and transgender child debate, you know, like how
No, that's
how
bullshit.
how young should kids be able to transition? Should they be able to go at like 5 or fucking 6 years old? I mean, I
Honestly,
don't know. What's your stance on the whole thing?
my stance, it honestly depends on circumstance, but take for example a assigned male child, born a boy, has always felt pretty feminine his entire life and is now 12, 13 years old and suddenly identifies as a girl. But take into factor that maybe the parents are extremely left-wing and are possibly forcing this on the child. The child goes on hormones, gets fucked up, and kills himself when he's 17.
Yep.
But there's also the instance in which a child could actually be transgender, and in that case, I believe that the minimum age for like hormone therapy should be 15 or 16 because life can be pretty confusing around puberty, and it may drive some people to think that, oh, I don't like my body, I must be transgender, but that's usually not the case for a lot of people. That's why you'll hear a lot of stories about detransitioners, mostly female to male detransitioners who identified as male but then realized they were actually just like masculine lesbians or whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe the minimum age for hormone therapy should be like 16, and then I believe the minimum age for surgery should still be like 18, as long as you're an adult. I feel like that's fine. But the brain...
Yeah, because, I mean, this whole, like I have nothing against transgender people. Like, to me, it doesn't really matter. Like, I mean, would I say I'm, like, super fucking into the whole fucking movement? No, I wouldn't really say that, but I have no issues. I have no qualms with a transgender person. But, like, I don't know if you've ever heard this case that was in Texas. It was pretty big on iFunny for a while. Like, a lot of people on iFunny were, like, review bombing this lady's, her dental practice, because she had a dental office. So everybody found out where the fuck she was and where the fuck she worked and everything, and was basically just doxing her. And for a while, that was a pretty fucking huge thing, because she was trying to make her kid, who I think was 5 at the time, I believe he was 5, she was trying to say that he wanted to transition to being a girl at like a super young age, and so the father was having to go through a court case. And
that's...
yeah, every which way he was just getting fucked over.
Yeah, that's honestly bullshit. I feel like it is possible to know that you're trans when you're a kid, but it's also a very iffy area, because a lot of the time, I'll use the example of my friend Gracie. She was a very masculine girl. She was a tomboy, and growing up, she thought that she wanted to be a boy, but then she turned like 14 and realized, oh no, fuck, that's wrong, and she was actually about to go on hormones. And I'm very glad she didn't, because that would have been a nightmare for her. Yeah. And,
oh my god, though. I mean, it's just kind of
yeah.
fucked up, though, because, you know, I get it, you know, times are changing. Times are always going to be fucking changing. New things are going to be popping up whenever, whatever the fuck. But this whole thing of kids turning into drag queens is insane to me. It's insane to me.
Yeah, kids cannot be drag queens. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's fucking
I
insane.
hate seeing all that shit. The drag queen story time and shit. I hate it. It really makes me see red, having to see children being exposed to such adverse things.
Thing is, personally, I do a bit of drag in the sense that I like to do makeup. Sometimes I like wearing skirts, but because men can wear skirts. Oh, shoot me for having a controversial opinion, but
Depends on the skirt.
The Scots do it daily.
Yeah, depends.
But anyway, but like honestly, I feel like it's not harmful for a child to know that drag queens exist, but in the sense that most drag queens are very sexual people, and drag was started as a sexual movement, I feel really uncomfortable seeing them around like toddlers and talking about stuff, because like...
Wow, that's actually surprising me.
Yeah,
I mean, I was gonna
dangerous.
ask that, like, how you felt about drag queens going and reading story times to kids. Like, I mean, personally, you know, I'm not sure if I would want my kid to be exposed to that kind of thing. That's not to say that I'm going to beat the shit out of a drag queen if it appears in front of my child. Fuck no. But it's just not something that I'm 100% comfortable with. You know.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
You know, it's nothing wrong again. It's nothing wrong again. That's their choice. You know, they can do whatever they want. But
I think I know what their point is. They just want to normalize it, and I mean,
There's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with
they're
normalizing
going
it,
about it the incorrect way.
For sure. For sure. At least I think so. I think they're going the wrong way with it. They could normalize it however they want, you know. Just not
yeah, a proper
exposing it to
way to
kids.
normalize it.
Yeah.
A proper way to normalize it would be normalizing going out in public like that, not cornering toddlers and being like, "Hey, you want to hear about my genitals?"
Yeah, that shit's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
Honestly,
not
I'm
at all how to
scared of
do it.
I'm scared of drag queens. Like, I'm okay with like men who do makeup and like all that. Like, I look up to like I look up to like James Charles and Jeffree Star. I think they're very talented, but like
Um,
people like the people you'd see on RuPaul, they scare the shit out of me.
Why? They scare you.
They scare me.
What do they do? I mean, what makes them so scary?
Yeah, James isn't a good person, but he's very talented. You have to give him that.
talented at what? What's his talent? Sorry, I'm missing out. I
He
think.
can sing.
He's very good at makeup. I really don't watch his videos that often because he's really annoying and he messes with my sensory issues. But like, he's
I will say this, James Charles, you know, I will commend him for being so fucking flamingly gay. I will commend
I'll
that.
just commend him for being famous just because of who he is. That's all I'll give him. I'll give him props.
I'll give him props for being out super out in the open like that because I mean, bro, those videos where he like just literally posts like videos of his ass and whatever. I mean, dude, what the fuck, man? Because at first they're super
I did
like.
think it was kind of funny.
At first they're
I
like.
did think it was kind of funny
Pretty
that thing on Twitter
goddamn like.
where he was like, "Oh, somebody threatened to leak my nudes, so here they go."
Did he really?
just
Did he
posted
really
it.
leak his own nudes?
Yeah,
That's weird. Oh my
He was-
god.
he was packing some ass, dude.
See, that shit's very fucking tricky because he'll post.
Yeah, somebody was
video-
blackmailing him though.
Wait, repeat that.
Somebody was blackmailing him. That's why he released it himself.
I mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's fucking weird. I just don't want to see that. Cause like he'll post those very like tricky videos where he's like the camera's like pointing at his feet and then it pans up and it shows the ass and it's like, oh well, wait a minute, who is this? And then it's just fucking James Charles. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Go fuck yourself. Like you don't need to be like trapping me like this. This is wrong.
Okay. But get
This is wrong.
Ass is ass. If it's got an ass, I'm willing to smash. That's my policy.
I knew a dude who would say a hole is a hole, and he would try to
That's
say
just
that he's
bisexual
super
culture.
straight.
That's bisexual culture.
A hole is not.
Yeah, he's
Bisexual
wrong.
culture is a hole, honestly.
A hole is not a fucking hole. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're like. I don't care if you're packing the biggest ass in existence. I don't care. I'm not doing it.
Dudes who say that like fuck the crack of the couch.
The what?
You're talking about the other guy who thought he was like having sex with his girlfriend, and it turns out he.
Oh, it was a
just grabbed
couch.
the
Yeah.
couch.
Okay. I remember that.
That was funny.
Oh my god. Fuck no. That's just horrible. You know, I did have a question now that you speak about bisexuality. What the hell is pansexuality?
Spicy bi.
What?
What does that mean? I don't think that clarifies it at all.
I'm not sure, man. What's that mean? Like,
It's bi with a few extra flavors, dude.
Pansexuality was coined in 1917 to represent an attraction to anything alive, including children and animals.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then people started reclaiming it because they thought bisexual was transphobic, even though it's not. The Bisexual Manifesto states that trans people can be bi and bi people. But yeah, there was a bisexual manifesto written in the 80s. It's pretty interesting, but and people started saying that like pansexual was better than bi, and they were basically just having god complexes. Yeah. And so pansexual was created to erase bisexuality in a sense. And it's really stupid, and I'm not gonna like attack anyone who identifies with it because they may not know any better, but like If I see one more person say hearts not parts, I'm going to lose my mind.
What's that mean?
Oh my
Pansexuals,
god.
they have a complex where they're like, oh, but I love everyone. I only care about the personality. I don't care if you have a PP or a vagina or even mac and cheese in your pants. Like, shut the fuck up. That's what bi means. That's what bi means. Shut up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, what the hell is the difference? If you're pansexual, you
There's no
like
difference.
men and girls. How the hell are you gonna claim that you're
Bisexual,
fucking...
you like men and women.
Yeah, I mean, I
They're
don't
the,
know.
they're the same thing, and people are just
That
same
one's
thing with
like
all
the
those other
biggest
genders.
like question mark for me. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? How are they so different? Like, what? That one just always fucking weirded me out. Not weirded me out, but it just bewildered the hell out of me. I just didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. When somebody would say like, "Oh, I'm pansexual." You're a what? You fuck pans? What are you talking about?
Yeah, you fuck pans. You're sexually attracted to pans. I think that's what it means.
Pandas.
They're
Yeah.
attracted to the Greek god Pan.
I fucking love to have sex with pans. Maybe I'm pansexual. I don't know, man. But
I be washing those dishes, and I just can't keep my hands out of my pants. Damn.
but I was gonna ask another thing about this whole bathroom deal. How do you use the bathroom?
You asking how I pee, or?
No, I'm not asking how you pee. I'm asking which bathroom do you
Fuck,
go
we
in?
can cover that question
No,
next.
we can cover. Yeah, sure, maybe later.
Yeah, I use the men's room mainly because I look masculine 99% of the time. There are some days where my face just doesn't agree with me and I look a little bit feminine, but regardless, I use the men's room because using the yeah, some days I just wake up and I look really, really gross and dykey, but
but but
yeah,
this
I
whole
use the
thing,
men's because
this whole
I feel
thing.
like you should use the bathroom that you look like. Like if
Uh,
you're a non-passing trans person, use your assigned gender bathroom just for safety and the comfort of other people. But like,
yeah, because listen, it is pretty fucking weird. Like if I have a kid and he's a little boy and I go into the men's bathroom and then like a fucking she-male comes in and just starts like taking a piss next to him, I'm like, okay, this is fucking weird. I'm not sure if I like this.
Yeah.
Or even if I have a little girl and another she-male just comes in and is like, hey, I'm about to, pop a squat and pee on the toilet in the stall next to your daughter. I'm like, all right, that's a little weird. But I'm not
well,
sure
yeah,
if...
I still stand by my point of if you look like a woman, use the women's room. If you look like a man, use the men's room. I feel like genitals don't exactly matter in this sense. Like I think drag queens should use the men's because they're men. Yeah.
Okay, isn't there like a little nuance though? Like, what if like someone tries their best to look like the other gender and it just does not work? But they're in everything, like they're doing everything right. It's just
Yeah.
their
Yeah, but
bone
Should
structure is
let me
they
chime in
off.
on that.
should they be
Let me chime in on
entitled?
that. There are more trans women assaulted in bathrooms than there are trans women assaulters in bathrooms. There was a study done a couple weeks ago.
Mm.
No, I understand that. I'm just talking about like you're saying that to go in the one you look like, but like I said,
Yeah,
like
like
if they trying their best,
yeah.
like what if they believe they look like that and then they're just going into the bathroom, which they believe they look like and they don't.
Honestly, I feel like that's fine as well, as long as I'm really iffy on this because, like, in my opinion, I don't know if you guys know who Blair White is.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, I believe I've
Like,
heard the name.
I would not, I would not tell her to use the men's just because she has a penis. Like, use the women's. You look like a woman. Just go. And like, personally myself, I look like a dude. I use the men's. I have a couple friends who don't exactly pass as the gender they identify as, and they use the gender that they were born with because it's just safety reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And back on the whole topic of like molesters using that to their advantage, I feel like it's pretty painfully obvious to be able to tell if someone's actually a trans woman or if they're just a man in a wig because I've dealt with both ends of that spectrum. Or not spectrum, but both ends of that thing. I don't know why I said spectrum. I'm sorry, my brain.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
okay.
like the bathroom nowadays would be like the hardest place to actually like be a predator, because once you get out, you're in a public place.
It happens, man. People get
Yeah,
raped in the
I was
bathroom
gonna
all the
say
time.
it does happen.
But I'm saying like it probably happens like I didn't like let's say like 30 years ago, sure. But I'm saying I feel like it happens way more on the internet now than it does just in public.
Oh man, it can definitely happen today. Like my mother was going to the bathroom once, to the women's bathroom, and this guy was just in the corner, like beating his dick, like literally
Oh no, yeah,
in
for
the
sure.
corner of
You
the
always gotta
female's
find
bathroom.
Where was this?
This
What state?
this had to have been a couple years ago in Texas, here in
Damn.
Texas.
Of course it was Texas.
Oh my God. I mean, I guess. Yeah, Texas is kind of fucked. But yeah, like this guy was just in there like whacking his dick off for like I don't know, however long he was in there. He was just going at it. And so my dad had to go in
But
there and like
I mean that kind of
tell him to get the fuck out.
that's kind of like unrelated to her though. I mean, he was just already like beating.
Yeah, but you were
Yeah,
asking like
she walked in
how
on him,
is
bro.
yeah, but you were asking
And
like,
she's
how
kind of
is that
invading his
possible?
privacy.
How can somebody get raped in the bathroom nowadays? Like shit, man, anything can happen in the bathroom. Doesn't matter.
He ain't hurting nobody.
Anything can happen in the
Calling up my
bathroom.
boys, while unloading 10 rounds into his skull.
You know, boys will be boys, man. It's just the way it is. But this fucking bathroom thing again. So, should transgenders have their own bathroom, their own separate
that's
bathroom? No.
No, I don't. That's a
I
lot
think
easier.
that would
for
lead to
people-
targeting. I feel like.
Yeah, that's a lot
Maybe.
easier for people who hate us to be like, oh, there's trannies in that bathroom. Time to hide in the corner with a gun. And
Man.
like, I mean,
Jesus.
Caitlyn Bennett.
Honestly, though, I feel like like people go like, "Oh, unisex bathrooms wouldn't work," but I feel like if you have like one unisex bathroom, right, there'd be more people in the bathroom at one time, and there'd be less likely for a crime to happen.
Wait, repeat that.
Like, so you know how people were like, "Oh, this." Some people were like, "There's the solution is unisex bathrooms," right?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, sometimes if you think about it too much, it's like, oh yeah, but you're putting them all in the same place.
Mhm.
But then there's also the point where like if there's more people in that confined area at one time, which if you have like one bathroom, there will be, then there's less likely for a crime to occur just because of the amount of people, the exposure.
Oh.
I feel
Okay.
like that's a good point, but it's also a case of people probably being extremely uncomfortable because if there's just a woman trying to pee and then a man comes into the stall next to her and starts taking a dump, that's going to be pretty uncomfortable.
I mean, we're uncomfortable with girls going into the guys' bathroom. If we're being honest.
Well, I don't know. It depends. It very much depends. Like if we're like talking about like a bunch of like fucking sex crazed lunatics, then of course they're not gonna have a problem with like a chick coming to the bathroom.
Well, I just mean like in general, like it's just unusual. Like just
Oh yeah,
the
yeah. It's
unusual
definitely
tends to be
unusual.
uncomfortable.
Like you're gonna be asking like, what the fuck are you doing here? But I mean, I feel like if a guy went inside like the women's bathroom, that would be like bloody murder. Some chicks
Double
would be
standard time.
yeah, double standard time. Some chicks would be like screaming out their fucking lungs. But this whole thing about like unisex bathrooms is just I don't want to say it's like I don't want to say that it's wrong to say that they deserve some sort of compensation because transgender people do go through a lot. I'm not sure if they're the most oppressed out of everybody in America. I wouldn't say that. Personally, I wouldn't say that.
I'd say we're up there.
Yeah, they're
I would
definitely
say,
up there.
Yeah, I would say y'all are up there. I would say black people are still more oppressed than you all, but in terms of like appeasing you all, it's hard to because you guys really do challenge the way that America is formed or the way America currently is. Like that's not an insult. It's just that you all really make us have to sort of do things to accommodate in ways that we never thought we would have to do. Like a unisex bathroom. Like who the fuck thought that would be a problem? the whole athlete thing about like transgender athletes performing in different like leagues, like women's
That shit
league.
kind of pisses me off too.
Yeah, that's
I
fucking
feel like
weird.
that's really unfair. Yeah, I feel like if you went through a male puberty, you should be on a men's team. If you went through a female puberty, you should be on the female team. But that also stands for the case.
Some of their reasoning behind not allowing that is because, like, you know, even though you went through the puberty, you're going on hormones, and then the hormone difference kind of makes you go against the rules for either team because of the steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this like it was even
I
here in
feel like
Texas.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
saying this as a bias as a trans man athlete, but like I feel like if someone was assigned female at birth and they went through hormone therapy to be a man and they're muscly and they look entirely male, like Buck Angel, for example, I feel like it's fine for them to be on a men's team, but like trans women should not be on women's teams, in my opinion.
Exactly. I
That kind of
mean,
makes sense, yeah.
this
Because
person
they still
born.
have the biological advantage of the bone structure, the muscle structure.
Yeah, yeah. I
They still
mean,
have that biological advantage.
it's like what the hell? I mean, this person in Texas, he was winning matches like gangbusters in a women's tournament. I mean, I won't say he was a man, but you know, he was a boy who was transitioning to being a girl, and he was performing the women's wrestling matches, and he was winning left and right. And it's
It's like,
like
how do you
that's
praise
pretty
that?
unfair.
How do you
Yeah,
respect that?
Sorry, hey,
yeah.
was that on a like a high school wrestling team?
I believe so. I think it was.
That was a trans man who was forced to be on the women's team because of his biology.
Really?
Okay. Well, I mean, he
Yeah,
still shouldn't have been performing. Like I get it. You know, he really
yeah.
wants to
They
be a
wouldn't let him
wrestler,
on the
but
men's team because
it's just wrong.
he was biologically female, but at the same time he had gone through like hormone therapy and he was as strong as a biological male and they still put him on the women's team. So that was unfair to everyone.
It's ludicrous. It's fucking ludicrous. You know, it's just very fucking ludicrous. I don't understand how.
Don't mind me just identifying as a dog and joining the dog show.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. Might as well.
contact sports should have been the first to not allow that.
Man,
Furries entering dog shows.
there's. I mean, it's a good reason to sort of talk about this though, because it does need to be talked about. Because America needs
Yeah.
to accept the fact that these people exist. Like, not
Yeah,
saying
we're
that.
not gonna go away. We've been here
Yeah,
forever.
I'm not gonna talk to you guys like y'all are like some fucking aliens, but I'm just saying, you know, we've gotta start doing something. Like, we can't like treat y'all violently, of course. Like, that's fucked up and that's wrong. But we've gotta like start. We've gotta start making adjustments right now, and it's very fucked up that you know things are currently the way
Like
they
in
are,
terms,
still so difficult for you guys. Because I mean,
yeah, I feel
I like I don't know like how you think, but you know, I mean, what would you want out of how America treats transgenders people?
I just honestly, I just want us to be seen as equals. I'd like to stop having experiences where somebody finds out I'm trans and then they threaten to hit me with their car. I'd like to stop being treated like I'm some monster because I was born with a birth defect.
Hmm.
I just want, I feel like in terms of trans acceptance, I feel like Canada and England are definitely in the lead. And I just want America to be up there one day because I don't plan on staying in America. I do plan on moving to Canada simply because of the healthcare benefits. But
Because they have free healthcare.
no, it's if you're a Canadian citizen. I have a friend who moved to Canada and he got the benefits.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. But,
Because I'm sure in America it costs like a fucking way more than an arm and a
yeah.
leg.
I'm not asking the world to treat us like we're gods. I'm not asking the world to fucking suck our dicks, but I'm asking. Oh, Anja.
Repeat that.
I'm just kind of asking the world to kind of be like, hey, we exist. Please just treat us like people and understand that we are not trying to hurt you. We just want to exist.
Yeah, because I'm sure you've ran into a lot of like obnoxious transgender people. I think that's one of like the biggest reasons that we
I'm
as
having
like
some
straight
audio
people-
issues, guys. I can't hear anybody but Lord.
Really?
I can hear everybody.
You can hear everybody, Nicholas?
I can hear Nico.
Can you hear me? Like you can't hear me fine?
What's going on?
They two of them just asked if you could hear them, and I take it by the not responding that you can't.
Yeah, I can't hear Zerom or Monkey. Like I see your green circles, I just can't hear you.
Have you tried leaving? And it's probably on your end. It's definitely on your end because I can hear them. So
Well, I can't hear Zero.
All right,
I
I'll try.
haven't been able to hear Zero for a while.
I can hear everybody.
Here, tell Zero if he can leave and join back.
All right, it works.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, cool. Let's just wait for Zero for a little bit. But I mean, it's pretty fucked. This whole thing, man. Like, I'm sorry that
Hello.
I'm oh, I can hear you now. I can hear you now, man. Have you been talking this whole time, Zero? I feel like you have, and I just haven't been able to hear you. But I mean,
Oh my god.
what?
Yeah, I have not heard you this whole time, and then it just went to Monkey. I couldn't hear him.
I've only been able to hear like two people, and it's the one guy who keeps talking about being gynosexual, and then the guy who's been asking me questions.
Gynosexual.
Who the hell's
You haven't
talking
been
about
able to hear
gynosexual?
me?
I
Damn.
haven't been able to hear anyone else.
Jesus.
I mean, I've been talking.
I don't think I can hear Zero. I think I still can't hear him. Who the fuck's
Damn.
been talking
You've
about
answered some of my
gynosexual?
questions.
Yeah, you've answered some of Rumple. Rumple Foreskin has been asking you a couple
Yeah.
questions.
Do we sound similar or something?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Man. It's probably what it is. It's probably our black side coming out.
I'm
still
hard of
shocked.
You're
hearing.
black.
Black nigga. I'm just shocked.
I thought we couldn't say it.
We can
He can
say
say it.
it.
He
You
holds
just
all
can't
the
say it with
power
the
here.
ER. That's it. That's it, man. We can say it with the A.
What if I say it like a French person though?
I don't know.
I don't.
I don't want to get.
I don't think that
I don't want to risk
passes.
it. I don't want to risk it. We're on Twitch, man.
I mean, Nico's name is way too close.
Yeah.
No,
kinda.
it's not. It's not that
A little
close.
bit.
Nicholas.
Nicholas, that's
I've
it.
been getting that pretty much my whole life.
Really? Oh my God, are you actually named Nicholas?
Yeah, Nikolas.
Yeah, I'm kecking right now.
So people call
It's a
you
better
Nicholas
name than the
before?
NICH. I'll give you that.
Wow. Yeah, it is spelled more unique.
What do you call a slave owner after they got freed?
What?
Nicholas.
Shit.
Hey, that's pretty good. I'll get that.
Shit.
That's pretty good.
That's not that bad. I still can't fucking hear Zerom though. Damn. I can't hear him.
I can hear him. Maybe refresh.
I can hear him.
When I refresh, I can hear everybody.
Except for the guy that has the red circle. Don't know who that is.
Oh, that was
I
Roman Catholic.
think he muted himself.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can leave. I'll see. Hold on. Because I
Who's leaving?
swear to God, I've been trying to hear Zerom the whole time, and I thought he was like.
Is there a
like-
mute? Did you mute him?
No. I did
Zero,
not. like
say something.
his green is still working. I just can't hear him. Hold on, I'll be back.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I can hear
Zerom.
him.
I can hear him now after I.
Here.
I'm talking.
I've been able to hear everyone.
Hello.
I am talking right now, and
Yeah,
I am
can hear him
Jerome.
now.
That is me.
Okay, I can hear him now. There he is. He's fucking
Jesus
talking
Christ,
now.
man! Why wouldn't you talk to me? I felt so alone.
Dude, I've been trying to talk to you this whole fucking time. I thought you were dead.
Bullshit.
I swear to God, I thought you were like dead. Like, I swear. Have you been talking this whole time?
No,
Zero?
no. From the very beginning.
Have you asked like Lord Explosion Murder some questions or like said anything to her?
Yes. Yes,
Bro,
like
go
5
ahead.
of them.
Like, I don't think she heard you either. Have you?
I heard it, but it was more like background noise than actual words.
Damn, man. She just called you out. I mean, he just called you out.
Yeah,
I'm
just
sorry.
background noise. Or he. Shit.
Listen,
podcast
you can
is
call me
ruined.
whatever you can call me whatever you want, as long as I get a piece or two. Shoot.
Bro.
You can call me whatever you want, but don't
do
call
you
me
know
Shirley.
who that is, Lord Explosion Murder?
Huh?
Do you know who Zerom is?
Oh, oh boy.
No.
Let's get this started. Let's go.
Cause he's made a post about you. It went
110%.
It went
Dead
pretty
ass.
fucking big.
Wait,
Yeah.
Dead ass. Dead ass.
Okay, do you remember the Raiden
Wait,
joke?
who are you? The what?
Oh,
It's
the
you!
Yeah, it's me, boy. Ah!
Oh my god.
the Raiden. What was the joke? I can't remember
Fucking
now.
ride on. The
Ride-on
same old
principle?
joke.
What was it,
Right
the
on my
Ride-on
big
principle?
fucking cock.
Yeah.
I
Do you
love
remember?
man.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
I just want to confirm though, right? Roman Catholic is muted, right?
Yeah, Roman Catholic is muted.
Why is he muted?
I have no idea. I think
And no longer.
he may have been talking this whole time. He just didn't realize it. I don't know.
Ooh.
Roman, are you there?
That would be even worse than what just
Have
went
you
on.
transcended, my man? I think he's still deceased, guys. I don't know.
Who's
Well,
this?
Wait, are you
Roman
talking to me?
Catholic. No, we're talking about Roman Catholic.
Oh, no, he's dead.
Yeah.
That
I
green
think
light's
he's dead,
flickering.
dead. His green light's, yeah, it's flickering, but I don't know if he's hit the resurrection phase just yet or what.
I mean, I think he can hear us
3
because he
days,
unmuted
3
as soon
days
as I
squad.
pointed it out.
3-day squad, yeah. But I don't think he's
He unmuted as soon as I pointed it out. I think he can hear us, maybe.
I don't know, man. That's something I was gonna ask though, Lord Exposure Murder. Like, how do religious people treat you?
Oh, probably like shit.
It honestly depends on the religion and the person's personal views. I've
Really?
had a lot of religious people actually treat me really nicely and say that, hey, I don't agree with you, but like, it's I'm not gonna change my respect for you. And I'm like, okay, you don't have to agree with me, just don't be rude.
It's all about respect. It's all about it.
It's all about
It's
respect.
all
I
about
don't-
the respect.
It's all
Yeah,
about
like I don't
the
care if you're
respect.
Christian, Catholic, Wiccan. I don't give a shit. As long as you don't
Wiccan.
go out of your way to
Wiccan,
hurt me.
oh
Can
my
I be
God.
can I be Taoist? Is that okay?
Maybe, man.
It's only
What
one.
the fuck, Wiccan? That's a bunch of bullshit. If there's any fucking thing that's fucking fake, it's that. Like, I'm sorry. No
being
offense
Taoist?
No, Wiccans.
Honestly,
Like,
I
do
feel
you?
like there's no evident proof. I don't want to make this about religion, but like there's no evident proof of
No,
any
it's
god.
fine.
So I feel like it's kind of dumb to be like, oh yeah, that definitely doesn't exist, because there's a lot of stuff we don't know exists or stuff that we're not sure about. And I feel like it's best for the time being to just let people do what they want as long as they're not hurting
And
anyone.
the exact same thing can be said about transgender and everything.
Well, I mean, there's scientific backing behind being trans, so.
Well, people
Well,
say there's scientific backing behind the Bible all the time.
True.
True.
Can I
But,
be
like,
atheist
I was gonna
towards
say,
transgenderism?
like, people. Okay,
You
so
can't
just
be,
because.
you can't do brain scans on Jesus.
Well, yeah,
Like, there have
'cause
been
he's
brain
like
scans,
3,000.
and
He's
there
like
have been,
been
like...
dead for like over 2,000 years, for Christ's sake. But I mean, it's not like we can see a picture of a man with a great beard on a fucking cloud somewhere. Like, I mean, when people expect that kind of evidence, of course you're not gonna.
Wait, you
find
don't
it.
see it? Am I the only one? I need to get that checked.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've
Yeah.
never seen the picture of him on the cloud somewhere.
The only man I see in the clouds is that one guy from that one music video where he's just screaming with the cowboy hat.
Oh, he's over mountains. There's not even a clouds there. I know.
Oh,
Yeah, I know what
yeah.
you're talking about.
He's in the clouds. Fucking.
I
He
can't.
is in
That's
the
weird how I
clouds.
can hear you,
That
but they
counts.
can't.
I can hear you.
Wait, I can't hear him.
Wait, is Roman here?
What are we hearing?
I thought we had these resolved.
Oh
God
no,
damn it.
I can't hear Roman.
Wait. Talk again. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, I
I'll
can't hear him
refresh.
either.
What? I think I
Hold
heard
on.
something.
I might need to leave the
Any
call
of
again.
these problems are definitely on the user's end.
Maybe? I don't know. Hold on, I'll be back. Talk again, Roman?
Discord.
Talk again.
Hey.
Hey, I'm Roman Catholic.
Hey.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear
Hi,
you.
I'm Roman Catholic.
Oh,
What
okay,
the
cool.
What happened to
Sounds like
Rommel?
scripture. I don't know,
Oh, shit,
man.
there's a hole in my
He
pants.
might have been doing like the same thing. He might have not realized his fucking mic was muted, or he might have been busy. That's fine. But
He's probably
like
taking
his
I
out
don't know if
now.
you were listening to us from like, could you hear him, Lord?
It was.
Explosion murder?
Well, I can hear him now.
Yeah, I don't know if you were
I
listening.
could
to
hear
us.
you guys the whole time, so I didn't miss out on anything you guys were talking
Oh, okay.
about.
But yeah, you know, we were just talking about religion and stuff. So I mean, you tell me, Roman, what do you think about transgender people in terms of Catholic views?
Just as a preface, you know, obviously when you have different religious people, Lord Explosion talked about this. I mean, it varies wildly, you know, like how much respect people have for transgenders, you know, whatever that may be. But if we're talking like what like the official Catholic view is, you know, like what, you know, a Catholic is supposed to think, just the bottom line, they are supposed to be respected, you know, so it's not okay to, you know, degrade them in any way or think them as lesser, like subhuman, you know, or anything like that. So I just want to clear that out of the way because you'll see that a lot on iPhone, you know, where you have, or I'm not sure what the state of iPhone is right now, but just, you know, people just like transgender aren't human, you know, or they should be shot or all these different things. And I think that is wrong, you know, to say that. I mean, whatever that may be jokingly or just because edgy, I mean, that's just iPhone. But,
Yeah.
you know, since we all are approaching this seriously and respectfully, just want to start it out with that, you know, truthfully, if you're being a good Catholic and you're, if you're following, you know, acting out like what you're believing, what you should believe, you know, transgender people should be treated with respect, you know, and everything that you've been talking about, Lord Explosion, you know, just like, you know, just treat us normally, treat us equally, and so yeah, it just starting out like the Catholic view is just like, yes, you know, you're human, you should be treated with respect, you know, and you are an equal. So,
Cool.
at least coming from my end, you know, what you desire in America and stuff like that. I personally do agree that, you know, you're an equal and you're human and all those different things. So at that basic level, that's where it stands on the Catholic view. Now on transitioning and stuff like that, there is a disagreement with that, you know, whether somebody should pursue that, you know, like transitioning, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's just the basic view. I'm not sure if anybody wants to comment on that, but or has any questions.
I'm just glad there's no fire and brimstone involved, you know, and some bows and
Oh,
shit.
oh, yeah.
No,
It,
Yeah.
it was a big
no.
relief to hear you say
yeah.
that you see us as equals. That was
'Cause-
very. That actually made me smile. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's the important part is having a dialogue. It's a
Exactly.
great thing to have opposing views. If we can all just talk and be like, "Hey, this is my piece. This is yours. Let's try to come to an understanding of where the other person is coming from,
Exactly.
not of a place of hatred, but of understanding."
Exactly.
Yes, I can get behind that.
See, now
I really
don't
only
know.
have a
And-
problem when people start attacking me personally in debate. I've had several people be in a debate with me and it starts off as respectful and then they suddenly get the idea to dig deep in my profile and find some personal information and they
Start
start
saying, like,
using
"Fuck
it against
you,
me. I'm
bro."
like, hey, whoa there.
Yeah, that
And
gets
start,
way
like,
out of hand.
And
Just
that's when I
smearing
start
your
getting
fucking
angry
name.
and that's why everything spirals.
See, yeah, hell no, that's not how you do it. Now I don't know if
Yeah.
like this same energy is gonna carry over into my next episode with the police brutality debate. That's gonna be fucking bad, I think.
Oh,
Dude, that's gonna
I
be-
know.
Can I chime in on something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Whenever people are trying to like get under my skin and I mention that I'm trans and they're like 40%, I always just say, silly, I'm not a cop.
Oh my god.
That's pretty good.
Wow, that's pretty good. Transgender people hate
Yeah.
cops too. Fuck
I
cops.
think we can all find common ground that some cops fucking suck.
Yeah,
Nah,
the system is fucked. I feel like
no,
cops
yeah.
themselves can be good, but
Yeah,
the
the
system
system
is
is just
fucked.
very
Yeah.
fucked.
I'll keep it short. Like I'm not a big fan of cops in general, but man, I love me some firefighters. They are heroes.
Firefighters
Oh yeah,
are awesome. I'm
firefighters
friends
and
with
firefighters aren't the ones carrying around guns and like shooting people in their fucking houses and shit. So
Yeah.
I mean, of
Fire-
course,
don't
you
think
gotta
that
respect the firefighter.
Black men who
They
get
don't
knives in the chest.
really have
Exactly.
like the capacity, to do a lot of evil things. I just think just because of like the nature of, what they're actually doing, it's just like I don't know how you could turn, saving people from fires, and stuff like that, how that could be turned somehow, into
Yeah.
something evil. Now, justice, though, obviously you can overexert that, like the
I don't
ways
like how
you decide to
resisting
pursue
arrest is a
justice, so-
crime.
You don't like what? How resisting what?
Resisting arrest should not be a crime because they can charge you with it for something you haven't even been like properly arrested for.
Even
You don't
then,
think that
that's-
it could be
that's-
dangerous if somebody was able to resist arrest?
See, but the thing is, right? They could count anything as resisting and then charge you with it, and
Yeah,
then
I
like
could be like
force
twitching
you
my
to
wrist
resist.
and say, "Stop resisting!" Like, dude, I'm not resisting. I'm just like,
Dude, they could
uncomfortable
break
right
your
now.
arm, and then the tension pullback of your arm going back to where it should be, they count that as resisting.
It's fucking ludicrous.
Yeah, that's a whole shit show for another podcast in itself.
Oh,
But
yeah,
hey,
that one.
hey, we can talk about it. It's a dialogue, It doesn't matter.
Yeah, true,
Like-
true, absolutely.
Like next episode, we're definitely gonna be having a person from the police academy who is a
Ooh.
super big police officer supporter. Blue
Ooh.
Blue Lives Matter, whatever they call it.
Oh,
But,
Could I make a second appearance?
Oh, sure, man, if you want. Yeah. Of course. Like I still haven't got everybody for it, but I mean, it should be a good one.
This is actually-
It's gonna be him
I
and
know
another
I was
person.
like considered like a special guest or whatever, but
Hmm.
like this is actually really fun. And like if you guys are willing to like have me on future episodes, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, of course. I mean, sure.
'Cause we've
It's
got a lot of
like
opinions.
I'm definitely gonna be bringing on like multiple people back for the show. I mean, if people wanted to, of course. But like Zach, Zach the First, he's gonna be coming on another one sometime soon. I don't know when. I don't know if he's gonna come on the next one or like another one after
That
but
anomaly.
yeah. Zach is fucking insanely hilarious. Like he is so funny.
I love Zach.
Zach is the best, and
We're talking about Zach the First, right?
Yeah, Zach
Yes,
the
sir.
First.
The
Yeah.
first and only.
The first and fucking only. Like he loved it so much that he was like, you gotta bring me back on the show, man. And it's like, of course, bro. You're super fucking welcome. Like, no one else can be brought on. Like, dude, he's just so funny.
So if everyone doesn't mind, I would love to say my take and my belief when it comes to people who are transgender.
Go ahead,
Go
man.
for it.
Okay, first things first, Lord, I cannot believe I got your ass with the ride on. I just couldn't. I worked so hard. I was up in like Tennessee, fucking on vacation, like 2 a.m. or some shit. Like I had this long ass conversation. I can't believe that happened. So I thank you personally for making that happen.
Caught
Thank
your
you.
ass slipping.
So back to the actual whole views with transgender. Anyone who believes they're transgender or transitioning or thinking about it, I don't care. You do what you want with your body. It's not my body. I can't say what you want to do with it. You can cut all your limbs off tomorrow and say, "Hey, I'm a chicken nugget, y'all." That's cool. I don't care. It's
Wow,
your
that was so
body.
quirky and random.
I'm a chicken nugget. It's
Yeah, seriously. Like, as long as you give me the respect that you want to be given, then by all means, do whatever you want. I completely disagree with you. I think that it is a mental illness, and I believe that it's not so more of a problem of people feel like they're in a body or a different gender that they don't agree with, but more of self-hatred, thinking that once a person does transition, then they'll be happy. Well, how could you be happy if you didn't accept who you were originally? How am I supposed to accept your transition, be happy for you and accepting you if you couldn't accept yourself to begin with? That's a question I do have.
Well, I guess that comes from the fact that I have a hard time answering this question because not out of the fact that I don't know how to answer it, it's just the fact that the way it's worded is really weird.
Take
And
your
I
time.
just like have like 2 seconds to collect my state of mind.
Take all the time you need.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
totally fine. Because I mean, hey,
I
we're
guess
here to talk
it
about
just
the shit.
rises the question that gender dysphoria is a medical condition, yes, but I wouldn't consider it a mental illness in the sense that it cannot be cured. If you have dysphoria, you're that way your entire life. Transitioning isn't the end-all be-all. A lot of people, if they have previously existing mental conditions, they're still going to be there after they transition, but transitioning does take a big load off of somebody's shoulders. It's not I find it easy to compare it to like autism or ADHD in the sense that it can be helped. It can be helped with therapy, medication, but it's always there. It's not something that people ask to have. And I know a lot of people do confuse it with body dysmorphia, which is the feeling like, oh, like I'm too fat, or oh, my nose is too big.
Right.
But it's very different to that. Gender dysphoria isn't so much about the physical attributes as it is about the sense that you exist as something that society doesn't see you as. I like to use my own personal example of the fact that I'm actually fine with most of my body. I do want to have surgery, but it's not going to kill me if I have to continue to wear a chest binder or like not able to go on hormones. It's not going to kill me.
Mhm.
But what does bother me a lot is the sense that I feel so stupid saying this, honestly.
No. You're fine.
Like internal dysphoria in the sense that I have the knowledge that I was born this way and I can't change it. And for the longest time, I did have the belief that transitioning would be the end-all be-all, and I realized over time that, hey, that's not how that's going to work. I'm always going to have... Well, I haven't gotten a karyotype done yet, so I don't know if I do have XX chromosomes or if I have XY or something else.
Mhm.
But, like the fact that I will probably always have female chromosomes, that I'm always going to have a female bone structure, that when I die, my body will die as it was born, as a female. And I can do everything I can to change how society views me, and I can do everything I can to accept myself, but in the end, that's just how it is. And I'm sorry I'm going off the rails here. I cannot keep a single train
No,
of
you're
thought.
fine. You're totally fine.
You're doing great.
Fine.
Yeah, back to the point of if the thing of like whole self-acceptance, it's not a matter of self-acceptance. It's the sense that I accept myself. I love myself. I accept the fact that I was born this way, that I can do everything I can to change my body and change how people see me. And I accept that. But acceptance isn't the cure. There is no cure to gender dysphoria. Transitioning can alleviate it, and transitioning can help people, but it's never going to go away. It's always there.
So you acknowledge that it's a dilemma, like a problem.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. And if personally, I know some people are like proud to be trans, which just confuses me a lot. But in my case, if there was a way to get like some sort of scan done while my mother was still pregnant with me to see that I would have grown up as trans, I would have preferred to have been aborted than have lived like this, honestly.
Like
Holy
you just want like
shit.
all the answers in front of you, explaining your situation and why you're feeling the way that you do.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, that's definitely completely understandable, and it's a lot more insight on that matter. And at the end of the day, that's nothing I or he, them, or anyone could really tell you. It's something we all feel what we feel inside, and no one can know what you feel. We can relate, we can do similar feelings, but we cannot know your true feeling. And I think it's absolutely respectful and admirable you going so truthful to your beliefs and you feel. It takes a lot of guts, a lot of gall to say, I'd rather be aborted than go through the turmoil that I feel. So I definitely amend you for saying something like that. And with the whole concept with people who are transgender and how you're saying it's not the end all be all of just acceptance, but more so of trying to find the right answer. Because at the end of the day, like many people who are transgender or whatever the spectrum is or group, every answer is different for that individual, and
Yeah.
And it's a
Everyone
very
experiences dysphoria differently.
say that again.
Everyone experiences dysphoria differently. Like some people may be dysphoric over their chest, some people may be dysphoric over their chromosomes, some people may be dysphoric over their face. It's everyone experiences it differently. It's the same thing with like autism, ADHD, stuff like that. Everyone has similar experiences, but not exactly the same.
Right. That can absolutely say the exact same thing about just any hardships in general in life. And shoot, what was I gonna say?
You're gonna say how much you're madly in love with me.
Oh,
Listen, if I get you in a skirt, I'm gonna fuck you in a second.
Whoa, man. This turned fucking
Jesus.
okay.
No, but in
Get
all
a room.
seriousness, it's really great to hear your views and what you've personally been through. It's always great to hear what personally has a person go through and what their mindset is, especially how you saying you went through it at such a young age to now and still continue on forth of how dealing with it. And of anything, if there was anything for me to gain, is just basically go on as much as you can with whatever it is in life, whatever feels right, whatever is true to you. I can't tell you what it is. I can't say what's the right answer. No one can. I just hope and I pray that you know what it is, or just attempt to find what that is and go with it and be happy knowing that, hey, this is my decision. It's my life. I'm going to go with it. Not everyone's going to agree with you. I guarantee you already know that, and it's going to be hard. But I definitely commend you for doing so.
For sure. Hell, man. Zerom just fucking spit the fucking facts. I mean, my God. Dr. Phil in this fucking bitch. But I mean,
I am writing books.
Like he fucking said, like, it is what it is. We all try to find our lot in life. It's hard. We as a people, nowadays especially, it's hard to really figure out what the hell we want from ourselves. And, it may take a fucking lifetime to figure it out, really. But, as long as you keep on keeping on with what you're doing, and as long as you feel the way that you feel, and you know that in your heart, and your heart of hearts, that what you're doing is the right choice, then it's definitely not wrong to say those things. To say things like,
you're living life to the fullest at that point.
Yeah, as long as you feel like you're making the right choice in the end, it's definitely fine to be like that. Have you always felt that you've had suicidal tendencies being the way you are?
Yeah, my not to get too emotional here, but my first suicide attempt, I was 9 years old.
Damn,
man.
Yeah.
Heavy shit.
But
have you ever been to like an actual doctor and be like, hey, I've been having these mental problems with depression or my gender dysphoria. What should I go about doing this? Like, I bet you.
I've been to several psychiatrists. I'd say my current psychiatrist is currently the most helpful in the sense that she
That's
is
good.
helping
That's
me
good.
to get some hormones, and she's helping me deal with a lot of things. When my other psychiatrists were just like, "Oh, we'll just put you on Lexapro, that'll solve it," and I'm like, "No, it won't."
Oh man.
Whatever the answer you find, I just hope that it comes soon and it works out for everyone for the better. If you transition or not, or change your mind completely, I don't give a shit. It's just as long as you're happy, doing what you believe is true, and at the end, and fuck everyone else who's just being mean-spirited or just being an asshole, treating you like shit just because of what you believe in. It's dumb shit.
Yeah, I mean, if my dad tried to kick me out at such a young age, like, I would build thick skin quickly, no matter what. So, I mean, it's totally understandable you've had. Go ahead.
I was kind of forced to grow up at a very young age. I never really had a childhood in the sense that I was forced to basically act like an adult at the age of 10. So, no, do not. Oh, sorry, my cat's stepping on my keyboard. Cut that out.
Damn cat.
I feel like Roman Catholics. Roman, were you gonna say something?
I'm gonna put you in the oven. Get back here, you fucking Jew.
Yeah, I wanted to comment a little bit on that with your comments, just saying that there really isn't like an antidote to this, and I think that's a misconception a lot of people have. It's just because they see that like being transgender is just like, oh well, you need to, you need to go to counseling, or you need to do something, that like there's an end all be all to this issue. And
yeah, my biggest pet peeve is definitely when people say things like, "Oh, well, if you're a man who identifies as a woman, just like go on testosterone, like that'll solve it. Just accept you're a dude." Like at that point, I just want to beat them to shit, honestly.
Yeah, I'm making this comment because I was brought on here to bring the Catholic's perspective, and I don't want to just completely ignore it. That is my purpose for being here, so I'm going to try to loop it that way at least a little bit. But I think, at least some, like, if I could describe it, like what's the answer to that, right? If somebody, like in the Catholic view, somebody is, they're transgender, they're struggling with this, what should be done? The way that I can best describe that is, it does fit in line with that. Say like there is no end all be all. Our approach to it now, this is where the disagreement I should say comes, is when it's like whether we should reinforce the view that to say that like it's okay to say like I identify as a man and this is what it truly is. There's a disagreement there. We don't believe that we should do that. Like at least in your case, I'm not trying to make this personally or whatever, trying to offend, but personally be like I just have to say from my view, like no, I think that you're a woman, but I can't just leave it at that. Just like you're a woman, accept that it's like it's a recognition that this is a lot of suffering on your part, right? This inner conflict that you have that you're talking about, and because of that. I'm not called to say, I have to accept that you're a man and that's it. I know you have, you'll disagree with that, but maybe you can agree with this part and just saying that, and part of the loving what I was saying, accepting that you do have this problem, but being able to help, being kind about it, and whatever counseling you may need or however, like I, as who I am, can help you deal with the suffering that you have, like this inner conflict, right? That we have, that at least I, for the religion I am, we're called to help with that, to be supportive, and stuff like that. And so I do just want to outline that it's like, I'm not in complete agreement, with what you're saying, like, that you are a man or whatever. But I don't think that there is like an end all be all, right? We have to, any suffering that you're going through, that in any way that I could help, or do that, that's what I should do. So I just wanted to clarify that because that was my purpose for coming on here. Not because what I said earlier, that may seem like that, we're in complete agreements and, do at the opposition that, sorry, but I'm not going to be able to see you. Or I just can't personally agree with reinforcing the idea that you're a man, and I know that you'll disagree with that, and that's fine. But yeah, that's just where I'm coming from, and anybody who's a Catholic is coming from, so anybody who's watching this, that's informative in any way. I just want to put that out there. So
yeah, I can understand that. Thank you for being really respectful about that.
Yeah, man. I mean,
yeah, no problem.
Again, as long as you're not like being like Zaoist and like being like a jackass, like it doesn't really matter.
I feel like if we got Zaoist on here, that would have been fun.
Oh my god, that would have been.
Sorry if
he would have been super disrespectful. Fuck no.
Sorry if I'm like boring. Like
I would tear him a new one. It would be easy.
My only real problem lies with people who go out of their way to trigger trans people's dysphoria and make them feel like shit on purpose. That's where my only problem
lies.
Just
a bad person in general.
Yeah. Like, I don't care what your political views are. If you purposely trigger someone, get the fuck out of my life.
I mean, that's gotta be so like weird though for your boyfriend. I mean, I know he definitely like accepts you for what you are, but was that a little weird in the beginning for him, or was that all just something he just like went ahead and was like, oh yeah, this is fine?
Well, honestly, he knew I was trans since we were just friends. He's known, and he actually came out as fully gay before we started going out, and that was a big alleviation to my dysphoria because I was always he identified as bi beforehand, and my biggest fear was that he saw me as a woman. And yeah, and he's very supportive. He has a lot of trans friends, and I think it actually would have been kind of cool if we were able to get him on here, but he's very friendly.
I don't know. Maybe next time if you come on, sure, you can bring him along.
That's
fine.
That's something I would love to add about that with that relationship.
Well, just 1 second. So I gotta
Go
go, guys. I have a essay to write and I have a bunch of stuff to do. So
pleasure talking with
I'm
you.
not sure if I did. Yeah, I'm not sure if I talked as much as I should have. I wasn't.
No, you're totally
planning
okay,
on
man.
sharing.
We had some technical difficulties in the beginning there, so it's okay, man. But thank you
Don't
for
worry
coming
about it.
on.
Well, you guys are having a good conversation, so I was just listening. I just had my mic muted, and I'm like, I don't know, like they can just call me, I guess, whenever they choose. So, which is actually, I would have preferred that because if I'm being quite honest, I'm not like super knowledgeable in this, So I was even monkey business. That's just what I'm going to call you because I don't know your name.
I was
hesitant at first to even come on because I'm like I disagree with it, but I don't really have any like arguments, I guess, to say why it's wrong. I don't know. I think didn't have a lot to say, so I'm good.
I think when I told people that I was bringing iCatholic on, a lot of them expected for you to be like another boson or like another Taoist and be like this jackass who's like high and mighty and like fire and brimstone, like fuck you, if you're not like me, you can go to hell, like that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm glad
sorry
we didn't
to
have
disappoint for anybody who
because I would have had a panic attack.
Yeah, like
sorry to anybody who's listening who expected me to be very, yeah, exactly, just like what you described. But
it's okay, man.
I saved my position, and so I enjoyed listening to conversations. So thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was
Thank
a
you
pleasure
for coming on. It's been our fucking
All right.
pleasure.
No problem.
You've been awesome. See you later. But
All right, see you later, man.
Yeah, see you later, man. But like you were saying, Lord, I mean, well, actually, Zeron, were you gonna say something?
Yes, I was. It was about the whole relationship with Lord.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so first things first is like I think it's an absolute beautiful thing. I don't give a fuck. People can literally say what your whole process is. It sounds like just a straight relationship with extra steps, But for me personally, I think it's a beautiful thing that it's like, hey, this is what I am. This is what I am. But none of that matters when it comes to happiness between two individuals. You can move past that and whatever people might try to say to you and be like, this is how we truly feel as two individuals. And that's something I can absolutely relate with, like me and my relationship with my girlfriend, who is extremely a lot more sexually attracted to females. She's bisexual. I'm gynasexual. But the whole important thing is that we love each other to death. We might get we might get married in the next year or two or so.
Wait,
the most important part about
Sorry. You're what sexual?
Gynasexual. That is me.
That means you're attracted to biological females, right?
I'm sexually attracted to femininity in both genders.
So you date a twink? Would you date a twink or a trap?
110%, without question. I would destroy that person.
My God, man. Okay, so you're like the person who's really looking forward to the femboy pictures.
Oh my God, I pray every night to whatever God I see in the sky.
I mean, I've got some femboy pictures if y'all are.
Oh, hey.
I can't say yes.
This is not a
that's
femboy
legal.
ring.
Because yeah. I'm gonna say I'm almost 22. I'm gonna say no to that and stay clear out of prison. I'm good.
I mean, there's no need. It's just me and makeup,
pictures.
Regardless of the situation, the important part is the dialogue. But yeah, that's something with your relationship I can relate to some degree. But I think it's an amazing thing that, regardless of what people may say, like, oh yeah, your relationship is just two straight people with extra steps. Regardless of whatever you want to call it, love is love. It doesn't have a side.
Yeah.
So do you think it's would it be straight if I went with a transgender person who was like who went from male to female?
That'd be straight, yeah, because if she identifies as a girl and you identify as a guy, that's heterosexual in my opinion. I mean, unless she's pegging you, dude. Then that's kind of gay.
Yeah, fuck no. There is no.
I
Listen,
wouldn't-
don't knock it till
I
you
don't
try.
know.
Let me tell you.
I don't know if I would describe that as a heterosexual relationship.
Yeah, I think for us as straight guys, it's a little weird to describe
Yeah.
something like that as a straight relationship. Like, I mean, for like when describing your relationship, Lord, I mean, I could be a little more lenient towards it. But in my case, when I'm saying I'm with this, like if somebody said like, oh, I'm with this person who went from male to female, like I would say, it's I don't know, man, it's a little gay. Like just being honest.
Yeah.
Like I'm just being honest here. Like that's not
I
being
mean,
like rude.
here's my stance on it. Genital preference exists, and it's totally valid if you're like bi, but you only want to date people with vaginas. It's totally valid if you're gay and you're only attracted to cisgender men. Like, that's totally valid. I don't give a shit about that. But I feel like it's a little bit rude to call a trans woman who is doing her best and is in a relationship with a heterosexual man to call that gay, because it can be really dysphoria like inducing for a like a straight trans woman to be called a gay man. Because I have a she's not straight, but I'm friends with a trans woman who's attracted to women,
Mhm.
and she gets called a straight man more times than I can count, and she has literally
I
tried
bet.
to end her life over that. And I mean, like, I'm okay with jokes. Like, jokes are fine. Like, I don't give a shit if you're making a joke about, like, oh, it's a woman with a penis. That's kind of gay. But, like,
Mhm.
I feel like if you're, like, being serious about it, like, if you were to call Blair White's boyfriend gay, like, that's just kind of dumb.
I mean, yeah, like Blair White is pretty convincing, but I think that's like a
She looks like a
massive.
whole woman.
It's really just massive gray area, especially with
Yeah, it's
straight
got a lot
guys.
to do with personal preference.
Yeah, I mean it's especially with straight guys. Like I mean, for us, like a guy is a guy. Like we can't. It's hard for us to see beyond that. For women,
Yeah.
it's way easier to see beyond that. But for us, like we think, oh my god, if I like sleep with this tranny, I'm gonna be thought of as gay, and like my masculinity is gonna be threatened. Because at the end of the day, that's what we fear most is like our masculinity being like questioned. Like we don't want to be
Oh
called
no,
like
I
a
can
gay
get that.
person unironically. Like if we keep being called gay, like by people who aren't joking, then of course we're gonna get fucking pissed. Like it's probably one of the most primary causes of toxic masculinity, in my opinion at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just
I don't think
As
I don't
someone,
think calling masculinity or femininity toxic is productive in any way, personally.
but I mean,
as someone who navigates society as a man, I can definitely understand that.
mm,
Uh,
I don't know. I feel
Because
like
I think there's because like if you take anything that like a man does and like you bring it to an extreme or like a woman does, then definitely you could consider that toxic masculinity. But then like
yeah.
with nuances, as by definition there are no specific cutoffs, so you can't really like people feel just alienated for the things they do normally, and then the lines blur, the land, what is it called? Like downhill.
hmm.
Is that a Mexican woman?
But
That's my mom. She's talking in Spanish.
but I don't know, man.
Dominican.
Yeah, you have to correct that, bro. You gotta use your right pronouns. But I don't know if toxicity can just be. I mean, I don't know, man. I think toxic masculinity can be considered a thing. I feel like it's happened enough to where I could, because at first, say, like in 2016, when I was like a little more like edgy, like then I think a lot of people were edgy at that time, because you had Donald Trump and everything. That was whole thing was going on.
Fine.
I think I think America was at its worst point at that time. But I think after 2016, I was growing more like, okay, yeah, I could see why women would be talking about toxic masculinity the way it is. Because, I mean, it's been talked about for so long, but it's just
Yeah, I
hasn't
believe it
been
exists
major.
both in masculinity and femininity.
See, but my thing is, right, if we consider toxic masculinity a thing instead of just it's people being assholes. But the problem is, you can't really do the same thing as a man that you can do as a woman in some cases, so if you're an asshole and you're doing something with like strength, let's say generally, of course it's going to be part of being a male, but it really would just be you being an asshole and then
Yeah.
going from there. Or like if you're doing like, or for example, right, like divorce courts, right, like how women win most of the time and then they use their kids as leverage, would that be an asshole? Or would it be like if you were in that situation and you were petty, you would take it? I don't think it's necessarily your gender, but
Mm,
you know, certain rights are and advantages are offered to the gender. If like assholes just take advantage of whatever they can take advantage of.
I guess that's true. That is
Yeah.
very true. Because I mean, when it comes to things like divorce, like of course, the courts are super, super lenient towards women. They almost
Absolutely.
always weigh towards the women, and of course that could lend itself to saying like, oh, men have an inherent, they have an inherent
Disadvantage.
disadvantage in society, but at the same time, men have a lot of advantages in society over women. So it's this one
I think
big
it goes
clusterfuck.
to with both sides.
Yeah, it's this one
Yeah.
big, double-edged clusterfuck that
Like,
America is in.
I can talk about a personal experience when I worked at a casino. This lady was abhorrent. She was drunk and whatnot. Ranged over, grabbed my whole ass cheek while I was working on the clock. Everyone
Lord.
laughed, and I was pissed. Because I was working. I'm like, you physically sexually assaulted me. No one gets to do that to anyone. That's not okay. But because she was a female, and the sheriffs and we had security guards, no one could do a thing because it was a female. But if I was to do the same thing, I would have been in jail that very night.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah, that's
Of course.
something that's really overlooked in the courts, and I think it's really bullshit because
Yeah,
Um,
man.
if I'm allowed to chime in, this isn't exactly
Go ahead.
assault by a woman, but it was assault on the fact that socially I was read as a male and legally identified as male. But I was sexually assaulted by somebody I considered a friend, and when it and something they had to do, legally I am seen as male. My name is legally the male name I chose, all that fun stuff. But they for the court case, in order for it to go through, they made me like what's the word? Like when you're like going against someone in court, what's that called?
A defendant?
Yeah, they made me like register myself as a woman so that it would actually be considered valid as a sexual assault case.
Oh shit, I see.
That's
what-
stupid.
That's so
Yeah,
fucked.
it was
That
really
is
stupid.
Fucked.
Regardless of the situations, sexual assault is sexual assault. Like, it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
okay for anyone to do.
But the
I
common
mean-
misconception, man, like if
Unless it's
you're,
raping a furry, that's okay.
yeah,
Furries
like,
deserve that.
yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Fucking hate furries. I mean, I'm friends with one furry, but that's about it. Shout out to Michael. But as a male, we're expected to like anything sexual, even if it's against our will.
Yeah.
Like I have a friend and my roommate who was sexually assaulted by his girlfriend. He was like sick as fuck one day, and he really did not want to have sex with her. And he audibly said no multiple times, but she just kept on like wanting to go for it because she just wanted to get fucked, and she basically raped him right then and there. So
That's
Oh,
we're
that's-
classification of rape.
yeah
That's
we're
rape. That is rape.
yeah, as men we're expected to like anything sexual. So
Yeah.
that's really the biggest fucking misconception in the world. Like if I'm saying no
Right,
and I
man.
don't want to have sex, like I'm being raped, no matter what.
It's really just it's common sense. That goes beyond gender. It's like, who gives a fuck, male or female? Just shit you just don't do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's the thing with society is that we have this kind of rubber band effect where like we find
Yeah,
we're
we live
going
in a
too
society.
far one way and then we sling
Joker.
ourselves to the other way and kind of, but it's like eventually we end up going too far and like what does it take, like gender relations collapsing before we realize we've gone too far again.
Man. it's just this one big clusterfuck. Like
It really is.
America is just
If
the
anything,
worst.
I would love to ask a question to Lord.
Oh, do you guys want to know my actual name so you don't have to keep calling me Lord?
I
Go
like
ahead.
it.
Yeah.
Well, despite that being my kink, I don't think it's appropriate.
Wait,
Ooh.
what?
We're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into my kinks.
Okay.
All right. So what is your real name then?
My name is Marshall.
Okay.
All right, Marshall. Nice to meet you. So may I ask you a question, Marshall?
Go ahead.
So what I'm gonna do is this is not necessarily my views at all, but as a person who is identified as transgender, this is a big topic and a big discussion that many people have about, and I would love to hear your take on it if you don't mind.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So a lot of people say like transgenderism is a relatively new thing ever since 2010s or even to 2015, and that it's such a first world childish problem that doesn't really matter in today's life or society. There's war, there's famine, there's grief, poverty, so much more dangerous, harder ships than worrying about, oh, if I'm a boy or a girl, not boo-hoo, oh me, get over it. With that type of mindset and with people who say that, what's your thought on that?
I put like bluntly, I think it's bullshit. I feel like every problem, yeah, some problems are worse. Like, yeah, there's some people that are getting bombs strapped to their backs as we speak.
Right,
But
right.
it's still a problem, and any mental or medical condition should be taken seriously. It shouldn't be put aside just because, oh, some people have it worse, because that is how people kill themselves. That's just the facts, and it's not new. Trans people have been around forever. If I can send some sources later, but there's been evidence. There was like a scientist in like the 1800s who was female to male. There was We've existed forever. It's just only been being brought to light as of late 2000s because of the fact that because that was around the time that like gay marriage got legalized, and people were like, okay, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the T in the acronym. And,
Okay, all right.
yeah, it's the same thing with like people saying that that once women got rights, that suddenly, oh, there's gay people now. Like, no, they've existed. It's just that now that one problem is out of the way, we're moving to another.
Yeah,
And
and
I
it
feel
shows
like
that society is always changing.
yeah, like society is. I forget if it's static. Is static like means it stays the same?
Static
Yeah.
means it
Yeah,
stays the
that is
same.
insane.
Yeah, society isn't static. People are always changing. We're always evolving. Our minds are always on the go, and things are going to change. Like the discovery of a dissociative identity disorder. That's relatively new that it's being brought to light. And like some people are out there being like, oh yeah, that doesn't exist, but there have been cases of it forever. It's just nobody's really talked about it. And like I feel like it's that way with a lot of mental conditions or like personal stuff like that.
That's
Oh, so
I say that's a fantastic viewpoint and something I strongly agree with, but it's something I also struggle with is that every problem is very real, regardless if it's to the smallest degree to the biggest degree. It's whatever affects a person's life, it's affecting them, no matter the scale, how big or small, how painful, how not painful. And
Yeah.
you shouldn't just disregard it because it's not as severe. That's just being ignorant of the situation. But with that being said, that's something that I struggle with because I've been through such extreme hardships in my life. I can go on and on and on and on. I'm almost 22 and I've lived some, but I still got more to live. And
You
for
and me
me,
both.
what's that?
I said you and me both.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone has been through shit, and I know there's people who have been through way worse than me, and I know I've been through way worse than others. But what's important is that we all go through shit no matter what, how big or small. But then again, on the same side, I feel like I've never experienced a war. I never experienced a draft or the Great Depression. I never, it's like I never got shell shocked from mortars being dropped on my head, seeing my comrades die. Like that's ridiculous. I can't even imagine. I can sympathize and I can try to relate, but I know that's something I can never experience. That's like something I struggle with.
Man, what the fuck?
So like what are you saying? Like I heard you. I'm just like saying like what did you
Basically,
Are you,
what I'm
like,
saying is
trying
like,
to get a response, or
what's that?
were you trying to get a response, or were you just chiming in?
I was
No,
literally
he was
just
just-
chiming up
yeah, he
like
was just
something like
chiming in.
what do I struggle with and what my views on that is.
Yeah, I get that.
But
Oh yeah, Marshall, I wanted to ask you something. Sorry.
no, you're fine.
So you said society's in static, which I agree with. Do you think there is such a thing as the slippery slope?
What do you mean in that?
Okay, so I don't know if you've heard, but some people generally go like, we address these issues. So first we address the issue of like, women voting, and we address the issues of feminism and whatnot, and then address the issues of marginalized groups, and then we addressed more and more issues relating to like just Marxism and stuff, and then toward the end we end up kind of just accepting everyone, including people who should not be accepted.
I feel like that's definitely a problem. Yeah, I feel like our equivalent of that would definitely be the point where we start accepting people like pedophiles and
Yeah, MAP is basically what I'm hinting at.
oh yeah, they're disgusting and they should be called what they are. They're pedos, and I pronounce it like that because I'm a dumbass and I grew up on British TV. I'm sorry,
No, you're
but,
fine.
but yeah, they deserve no sympathy. If I see one, it's on site, motherfucker. I swear to God.
Nice. Okay, that's very fucking reassuring, because that was a good question. That was a really good question. That's something that I've wondered about before, like what is the limit to
Yeah, like what
to
is enough?
something like LGBT, to like the LGBT
My
movement.
my stance on that is the sense that LGBT people, we are literally just human beings who were born with a mental condition, or B, the ability to be attracted to both males and females, or just females, or whatever the fuck. But with pedos and zoophiles and like shit like that, that's not normal. That's a delusion. That's a fetish, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That's not normal. That is not
Perversion
something
is
that
what you're saying.
Yeah, perversion.
Yeah,
I
basically.
wasn't even say fetish.
And the DSM still classifies it as a mental illness. And I know that some people are going to be like, oh, but like homosexuality was classified as a mental illness. That's because we didn't know what it was back then, and it's been removed as a mental illness for like 50 years, I think. But like, it's in no way comparable to the LGBT movement because it's literally just a perversion. And being LGBT, as someone who identifies as the B and the T, I can say that
I'm the
I am
G.
literally just like this because I just want to exist. Pedophiles and zoophiles are out there harming people.
I mean, aside from the, like you said, like previously classified as like mental illness stuff, but like the arguments you gave for it being like, it's unnatural, it's perversion and stuff. I can see where some of like people are coming from, saying that like the way you are and your sexuality and the fact that you're transgender comes from that same place because of the fact that it's off the norm.
Right, that's a big debate there.
Yeah, but I feel like the easiest way to kind of like dumb it down, I guess, would be the fact that there's no one getting harmed in a woman wanting to marry another woman. There is harm in somebody wanting to have sex with a 4-year-old or wanting to have children with their dog.
But it's in my religion. It's okay if I have sex with a child.
Your religion is bullshit.
Oh my God.
You should also
I mean, damn, Roman left. I don't think. I don't know.
No,
But I'm saying
more
that's
of, like,
what
a
people
Muslim thing.
honestly believe. It is. It
Yeah,
is.
Yeah,
because, like,
it's more of a
isn't there
Muslim thing.
something in the Bible that actually says that like kids can be married off and shit like that?
No, not at
no.
all.
I could
know the
argue
Bible in and out.
I could
Oh, no,
argue
I'm
for a
thinking of
religious
the-
side since Roman left. Like I was raised Catholic. I live across the street from a church. I did all my
Yeah,
Right.
like
You think of the
ceremonies.
Quran, not the Bible.
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
it's
get
the
them mixed
Quran.
up because I don't give a shit
Yeah,
about religion.
I read it all. It's you won't find the stuff in the Bible. And then again, every religion you say, oh, haha, that's weird. Isn't that crazy? But we can do that literally with every single fucking view in life, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do know one fucked up thing about the Bible is the fact that it states that people should be sold off to the people that they're raped by.
It's Old Testament, isn't it?
Yeah, very Old Testament.
Trust me, there's
Well,
a lot
yeah,
of
but, like,
fucked
you
up shit in
still live
the
by-
Bible.
Yeah, Old Testament
Isn't
especially.
I mean, I'm not
like,
excusing it. I'm not excusing it. That's part of the reason why I'm no longer religious. But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna, I think I should probably like chime in on the religious argument since I have experience with it.
See,
Yeah, but
I
people
grew
do
up
like-
in I grew up in a
People do
Catholic.
like to cherry pick the Bible and be
Yeah.
and say things like, "Oh, well, the Bible says man shall not lie
Yeah.
with man," and then
Like, I
completely
want
ignore
this
the
thing,
that
but I
says
disagree with
on
this thing. Like, they
Saturday.
pick and choose.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Like, if you're
See-
gonna live by the Bible, live by the whole Bible. I don't give a shit.
I mean, technically, you can't live by it because there's a lot of contradictions even within like one book.
Yeah, like the whole thing with the like the mixed fabrics thing. Like, that's literally impossible unless you're making your own fabric.
That's why priests read like verse by day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing is though, like I grew up like Catholic too. So, well, I mean, I didn't grow up Catholic, but I went
we
to
all
Catholic
did.
school. So the thing is, like,
I grew
when
up
people
too.
talk about the Old Testament, it's like this. When Jesus came along, basically the Old Testament was tossed out the fucking window because Jesus
the
was
Ten
basically
Commandments.
the new agreement. Like just putting it in
He
layman
was the
terms.
controversy.
Yeah, he was the new agreement basically between man and God. To put it in just layman terms, like normal.
And it was the
Yeah, I
priest
never
that
understood.
crucified him.
I never understood
Yeah.
how they could like say simultaneously that and also follow the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, they killed Jesus in the name of God. That's how it works.
Well, that was the Jewish people. I mean, that
Yeah,
was
that
like,
was the priest.
that was
The
Jewish.
Ten Commandments,
That
right?
was Jewish
Wasn't the Ten
human.
Commandments like the
God,
second
I
covenant, the
hate
first
these
covenant being the rainbow after Noah?
That was the covenant of God, and then Moses went up to the mountain when the people rescued her from Egypt and got the 10 Commandments. Then he broke them, and then had to get a all new second commandments.
Yeah, so there's like three covenants before Jesus, and if Jesus like invalidates the previous covenants, then you have no Ten Commandments. It's odd.
There's a
problem
lot of
is-
things, especially that go off with that. Yeah.
The problem is that, like, yeah, even though despite the fact that people, I would say people more so still say like, oh, you should follow the Ten Commandments than the Bible itself, than God Himself. But once Jesus came along and basically rewrote the whole narrative more than anything, I mean,
Yeah.
people try to claim that the God in the Old Testament and the God in the New Testament are way different from each other. I mean, are the same, I should say. But compared to New Testament, God's way more lenient. Of course, He's way more
So
accepting.
God wiped out the whole earth. He was
Ah,
like, yeah, fuck
exactly.
y'all. I'm gonna flood this bit.
He wiped out the whole earth. He would say things like, oh, if you lay with a man, you should be stoned, or he would command that more so than anything.
Isn't there
And,
also something in the Bible?
yeah, wait,
I
what?
thought there was. Isn't there also something in the Bible that says like cross-dressers should be stoned to death?
Not sure if I ever
believe
saw
so.
a verse or proverb
I think
about
it-
that,
I think it,
but I
I
think
know
they
it says
classify that as
something about,
insanity.
like, a man. I know it says something about a man wearing a woman's garment should be stoned to death. I know that for a fact because I did read the Bible when I was younger, and that is one thing that really stood out to me because I was
There's
like,
a
wait,
lot of weird shit in that. Like,
there's a
'cause
lot of weird shit.
I was raised so hardcore in Christianity. Like, my mom used to
Oh, yeah.
burn video games I had because they were satanic.
violent.
Like, literally burn in a fire.
And see, that's
I wasn't
ludicrous
allowed
to me.
I wasn't
is, it
allowed to
is.
listen to rock music because my mom thought it was the pathway to hell, and my dad was like a
Man.
heavy metalhead.
Yeah.
She burned my Pokemon games into the fire and made me throw it to repent for my sins.
That's
Oh,
stupid.
my
That is so
It's
stupid.
fucking
My,
nuts.
I don't know if you guys know the band Black Veil Brides.
I've heard of them. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was
I've
like
never listened
really
to 'em.
into them in like 7th grade, and I bought a Black Veil Brides shirt with my own money that I had earned from babysitting, and I wore it one day, and my parents were like, "What the fuck is that?" And I'm like, "It's a band I like," and they were like, "No," and they made me take it off, and they made me set it on fire.
God
That's
forbid you wear
garbage.
something like Marilyn Manson. People are gonna freaking freak
That's
out.
garbage. See, because it's not like you're like sucking and fucking like a million people. Like you're just wearing like a band shirt. Like people want to use like Old Testament against you. The reason why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't because somebody was like wearing a particular like fabric.
It's because they were
It's
whores.
because they were like the worst of the worst, like terrible
It was the
people.
city of sin of people just stealing, hurting, raping.
Yeah.
It was just a whole land of fuckery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now it's like 20 years from now, parents are gonna be like,
Like, no.
yeah, parents are gonna be like, oh, why won't my kids talk to me? And that's exactly why.
That's exactly why. And then when you go to
So,
New Testament, the narrative changes, and so Jesus is like, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Sorry, bro. Sorry for interrupting you there, bro.
No, you're good, absolutely. And we all bring up very good points, and we can go, like, the whole religion is fucking crazy. But there's something I do want to bring up, something that's actually, in my opinion, I view as very dangerous for any minority group whatsoever, is that allowing to have like, just because you're in a minority, you could do whatever you want. And that goes with anyone. Oh, if you're black, you can kill a cop. Or if you identify as transgender, you can kick out anyone in your household. I think that's really dangerous for anyone. No one should have that much power because of a belief.
Yeah, that's not godly at all. Like I literally have no stake in where my Marshall, right? That's your name, right? Sorry about that. I have literally no stake in whatever afterlife Marshall goes to. I have no heaven or hell to put those people in at all. So I can't say, oh, if you live like this, you're gonna go to hell and you're gonna be a satanic fucking
Oh, I welcome
cocksucker
hell.
or
I
whatever.
welcome hell. There is
Like,
a special place reserved in hell for people like me, and it's the fucking throne, baby.
Listen, if you wanna go there, fucking go for it.
I have literally no
I mean,
way of putting it to where I
Like,
can say that shit. I have no stake in that. And if
yeah,
God is
like
that,
Jesus literally says,
yeah,
sorry, he says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy and laden, and I will give you rest." Like that literally just means come as you are. You're all hurting. You're all like tired.
He
Like
sought the
just
exactly,
sinners and Jezebels, not the fancy and priests.
exactly. He
yeah,
talked to
because
sinners and
it's not
Jezebels instead
like
of the
those are
Jewish
the ones who
leaders.
want to.
That's why the Jewish leaders killed him, because he was talking to fucking prostitutes and people who are the lowest of the low, or like super unfortunate people. He was
The
talking to those
lepers.
people, yeah, lepers, and instead of talking to Jewish leaders, he was talking to those people. So of course he's the enemy. Of course he is. Just
Did you
because.
guys? Sorry, did you guys ever
No,
see that movie Man from Earth? The Man from
No,
Earth.
I
I haven't.
haven't. Mm-mm.
So this movie I saw it on Netflix a few years ago. I don't think it's on anymore, but it got shared peer to peer. That's how it like went like famous. Basically, it's like this guy. He's like he doesn't age. He was like a Cro-Magnon, but he's pretty much just like a regular person. Not like Encino Man. Like he's like a professor at this point, and he tells his friends like he's this story. Like he basically implied that like after so first like they kicked him out of the groups because they thought he was stealing their age because he wouldn't age and they would, and that basically like that's where the vampire myth comes from. Then they go later on, he does time in India and learns under the Buddha, and then he comes to Israel and it basically implied he was Jesus and he taught those teachings of Buddha, right?
Mm.
Like the golden rule of treat as you want to be treated, come to me as you are, and the afterlife is dependent on how you are on Earth, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
uh, and then like, but that like connection there, like you can tell, like if you do like any history of religion, you can see that religions draw their influences from other religions and cultures, and
You see
to
that with the Quran, any Jewish book. It goes off of this religion, that religion, and then they create their whole brand new book.
yeah,
Yep.
and also you end up with like situations where people who are I honestly I would call them delusional. They say they study history or they do study history and they say I've studied the history and this proves that there's a God therefore this proves that my God is that God.
oh yeah, that's stupid.
That's like a
Absolutely
huge gap.
ridiculous.
I mean, like, there's obviously you can't disprove the existence of a God. Uh, I wouldn't. say there is no God. There could totally be a possibility, but there's a possibility of anything.
So
That's
you're
what I know.
you're
But
agnostic.
claim, but as soon as you give, I think personally, as soon as you give details to a God, you disprove its existence.
How so?
As in something with us, a detail, right? Like, for example, if you say God flooded the earth, right? Well, water has after effects, you know.
Mhm.
What then? You don't see the effects of a flood in the earth. Then you kind of disprove that God flooded the earth, kind of thing, right? And then
So
you do things on grander scales, like this. It's like a several things, right? Like you like to prove that, and if you can use the same logic to prove several gods as you can to prove one God,
mhm.
to say that either is right or wrong, philosophically, I mean, proof. Then you end up in kind of like circular reasoning.
So
Yeah.
so you're saying like if you describe an act of God, you're disproving the existence inherently.
If you attribute something to a god and then you say things like, for example, omnipotence, right?
Mhm.
Well, omnipotence is in fact paradoxical, and then to say that this god is outside of paradoxes, that's doesn't work though by logic.
Okay, when you say paradoxical, like I think I know what you're talking about. Like, are you talking about the question of God and the stone?
Kind of, yeah. There's like an omnipotence paradox and an omniscience
Yeah.
paradox, right? There's like
Yeah, because if
the
God
omnipotence is
can create a boulder so heavy that he can't lift, then he's not all strong. And then if he still can make a boulder that he can't lift, he's not all powerful or whatever.
basically, yeah. And then omniscience is what you can't know what you like. There's something you don't know that you don't know. Are you really omniscient?
Well, see, here's my thing. Uh, How can we as human beings fathom God? Through natural standards wise, like how are we able to put God inside of that box? We can't put God inside of a natural box in which he
All
follows
throughout
our
civilization,
natural
that's
rules.
all we have done.
Yeah,
I just
we've
like personally, I feel like the more humans know, the smaller God becomes.
I agree with that.
I think he's still super vast, because think about it. How I want you right now to picture God right now. If I say like picture God, are you picturing him in like a human form, like as a
No,
man with a white beard? Or are you picturing him as like some bright light? What are you picturing him as?
I,
You're picturing
I,
something.
my image is the vastness of space.
Hmm.
See, the
Even
thing
then,
is,
that's super small.
yeah, absolutely, and I
Yeah,
agree with that. Absolutely, what he's saying. My vision of God Himself, and this is honestly my personal belief, is that He is literally everything to the point where He is nothing. He is the light. He is the darkness. He is existence. He's non-existence. He is and He's not. Like that's who I believe in. He's
Exactly.
everything to the point where He's nothing.
Exactly. When Moses asked him, "Who are you?" He says, "I am." That's
I
like
am that I
the
am.
super most open-ended response you could give. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's like very wise and stuff. I just think that in order, like humans tend to, create explanations for things before they, look for them. You know,
of course.
and that's why we have the scientific method, which is only as old as technically civilization, but very late into civilization. So we end up like a lot of the things we thought we knew and thought we knew 100% are proven wrong on the daily from just things we believed historically passed down generations. And things like people think something can come from nothing. Well, I don't think we can have like a sample of nothing to test
Hmm.
to show that something can come from it. Because even in the smallest scale, there's like energy, there's light, there's matter, there's particles, there's forces and all that. And to say that, you know, to make such a claim
I'll be right
on
back.
such a grand scale is, I think, ignorant to make as a human. I don't even think God would like a statement like that.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I would say that he's, hell, if you want to give it a word, I would say he's probably amused by it, because no matter how much we try to fathom him and his vastness, there's no way we can. it's impossible. It's literally
See, but
impossible.
what I'm saying is, right, like, uh, of course, like if you were like living in America, when someone would mention God, the first thing you think of is, God of the Bible, God of the Quran, God of the Torah. But if you were born in India, maybe you might think of like one of many, or you might think of a specific one of many. You might think of several, or if you're born somewhere else, that would change what your reference of God is, and you grow up with all the evidence that your parents sent down to you, that all the books and all their teachings,
Mhm.
and then someone else, they have a different thing and they feel the exact same way about it. Who knows who among men can say that their God is the God or one of the gods?
Yeah, I mean that's true. Like at the end of the day, even though I'm staunchly Christian and I firmly believe in a God and his good work, I I really don't know. Like I believe in my heart that he's real and that I I don't even know if like he wants to be called a he. Like I'm strongly believe that God is real, but
Trans God, trans God.
Trans God.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. But I can't say that I know everything that I need to know about God and that's about it. Like no, like every day I think Christians look to understand God. It's just that he's so freaking big. There's no real way to understand him completely.
I bet
So it's
he's
so
big.
you what?
What?
You what?
You what?
I'm waiting for there to be a break in conversation so I can say like I've been doing my makeup for like these past 20 minutes and I look like really good right now.
Ooh.
Hey, I mean, go ahead. I'm sure you do look freaking amazing. Like
I look
at
really
the end of
fun.
the day though, I think that a lot of people would be way more happier if they believed in something rather than nothing. Like I'm not saying that like all atheists are like miserable, but I mean, shoot, I think believing in some form of a hopeful existence is better than believing in something so non-existent.
Yeah, I would say like I'm an atheist, but I would call myself agnostic atheist because I don't like making any definitive statement that I can't, prove otherwise or that I don't know enough of, because that would just be ignorant for anybody to do, kind of thing. But I feel like that should also apply to people with religion. I don't think Gnosticism is a good stance to take in most things,
Yeah,
in like most
it's just fencing.
philosophies. Yeah. So like, for example, right? Like I think, uh, do I believe a God exists? No. Do I think one could? Yes. But like, if you like think of things like Occam's razor, right? Uh, well, they say Occam's razor proves the existence of a God, but doesn't prove which one. They use things like Aristotle, like how he proves the existence of a God, but they forget, Aristotle's Greek. I don't think he believed in,
The
God of the Bible, God of the
single
Torah.
monotheistic God, yeah. I don't think he
Yeah,
did.
so I don't.
Alrighty, I'm back.
Howdy.
Hola.
Just still
Yeah.
talking?
But I find I I'm thankful for like my life experiences that led me to this path. But I find that like you can find purpose in life without religion, but that purpose is within your personal choices and stuff. And to an extent, everybody has such a thing. But when you attribute it to a god, it kind of alleviates some of the responsibility, I feel. Because in the end, you feel you're working towards something or you're working for someone. But I think with like my stance, you're working for yourself, and everything you do is for yourself or for the benefit of the others, and to make yours and maybe the others like other people's lives better. But in the end, it all comes down to your choice, and your choice is powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that like people are do things purely through God's means, through pleasing just
I know.
him.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, like I mean, at the end of the day, like a lot of God's messages comes down to like self-improvement and self-love. Like that's pretty much what. Of course, glorifying him is a part of it, but
Well, I think Jesus' message were more self improvement, self love, and God's were, you know, unto me.
yeah, I guess I could, yeah, agree with that, especially if you're talking about Old Testament. Yeah, but like I said, like Jesus, when Jesus came around, he pretty much rewrote the whole narrative of how
Oh,
we perceive
absolutely.
Old Testament. And that's why when a lot of people like use Old Testament against Christianity, I'm like, I mean, I'm not sure if you can really use that. Yeah, it was said, yeah, it was done, and like all that stuff, but uh, Jesus pretty much he pretty much said, okay, out with the old, in with the new. Like, no pun intended there, but it's just that simple. Like, we can't really there's nothing really as egregious in the New Testament as there is in the Old Testament, like fucking fire and brimstone and all that stuff. That's Old Testament. You'll
By that
not really.
definition, Jesus was a prophet. Like he went and it's like, yeah, I'm going to talk about a whole new different scenario. Just because you talk about, oh, your mindset is the oldest mindset doesn't mean you're really right.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I think that like for sure religion does give purpose, and I think purpose is a good thing when used for self-improvement, but purpose
Yeah.
in like other people's lives is kind of like a iffy thing to do, because like if your purpose is to control someone else's life, that person better be, unable to control their own life. Otherwise, you're kind of, it's manipulative almost.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Um, but at the same time, I would say that I would say no matter what you feel about religion, or even if you believe in God or not, the Bible at the end of the day has a lot of great advice to it. Has a lot of good
Absolutely, especially
good
when you get into Psalms.
yeah, exactly. Like, it has a lot of great advice. I mean, even if you don't believe in God, it has a lot of words that you can live by. And so
It's a
when
Oh
people
yeah,
great
just
read.
yeah.
I agree. I agree definitely. But I think that and I understand like the foundation of like Western society was built upon some of these teachings, but with the kind of movement of society, I don't think you necessarily need the Bible to find these teachings, But sure, if you want to,
I mean, it's
if you need
definitely an
anywhere to
incentive
find,
to better yourself, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah, hell, no, going to hell or going to heaven is definitely an incentive. But I feel like the fear of hell in the first place is enough to traumatize someone for
Oh, that
sure.
fucked me up for a long time.
Yeah, but like, you know what the crazy thing is?
Hmm.
Jewish people don't believe in hell.
Really?
So, you know, you don't tell the rest of iFunny this, but they're gonna be like, that's why no one's accountable. But
Well, I mean, I have a very uh I very much look down upon the Jewish people, so I don't really want to say too much about them, but I mean, yeah, the Jewish people they were pretty much promised what they've been given nowadays. It even says that in the Bible. The Jewish people
I think they have
had
very good social networking and cultural networking.
pretty much the Bible said that
I like
like
your
the
picture,
world would
Marshall.
be given to the Jewish people, and that's the way it is now.
I
Shoot,
think
like,
I see. I don't think there's a Jewish conspiracy. I think that like I don't think any other religion, gives money to their own as part of like a transition into adulthood kind of thing, like the bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs for one, right?
hmm.
Kids can get up to like hundreds of thousands of dollars just for turning 13, right? And then the parents are like, oh, you can't touch that until you're 18, right? We're gonna put it into an account. So by the time, like, let's say like 5 years, or or till they're like 21 when they're on their own, let's say they got on their own at like 25 or something, right? So you get like what, 12 years of your money just accruing itself. You're like a
Exactly.
millionaire by the time you're out of your parents' house.
It's crazy, man. But it was
And
all
rich people
promised in the
tend to be
Bible.
insane.
And where did they get that money from? I'm telling you, dude.
generational. It goes down from the beginning.
Exactly.
Once they start the religion, it's been going on for like a few thousand years. Of course, they're gonna have all that money.
They're
Actually, I
Jews.
mean, I would say that the uptick for the Jews came with World War II. That was really what sealed the deal. That's what gave them the keys to everything. Because once that happened and everything with Hitler blew over, they were like, all right, it's time to give the Jewish people their own nation. It's time to give them billions in reparations for what happened to them. Even if like we didn't have a stake in it or not specifically, like I'm just talking in general, like nations, like giving so much
Y'all
money
want to
to
hear
the
something
Jewish people.
crazy?
What? Go ahead.
This is probably gonna be super controversial, but that's something I definitely want to talk about. That between Hitler and Jesus Christ, I'm
Okay.
not here to say what's right or wrong, but what's truly outstanding is what they both were able to accomplish. You could say they were just normal men, normal human beings, but look what they could accomplish. And I believe like anyone in the whole world is accomplished of all the greatest evil and all the greatest good that they can do. It's just mind-boggling that one person could achieve such greatness and such doom or ghastly. Like it's crazy. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, two sides of the same coin. I see what you're saying.
Oh yeah,
I see what you're
absolutely.
saying.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as much as Hitler is known for, he pretty much proved the fact that a person like Jesus could definitely have existed. Like, I mean, even though there's like
Right.
definitely evidence for it, like when people say like, "Oh, how did a man like Jesus like even have that much influence?" Like, dude, just look at somebody like Hitler.
Oh,
Hitler happened.
Regardless of his miracles, he was a person in history.
Yeah,
He's part of
exactly.
it,
That's
but
oh
I'm not
so
yeah.
saying he's the son of
undeniable. It
God.
trips me out when people say that, "Oh, Jesus was
I
real."
think
There's
honestly, I
plenty of
think
evidence
Gilgamesh
for it.
was a person in history too. If we're being like, there are definitely like people just don't make people up. I don't think in history, but I think gods for sure were some of them were made up. Others might have been like people who they attributed. They said, "Oh, this is God because they did these things."
I mean, maybe a person based on Gilgamesh existed, but I'm not sure if like Gilgamesh himself like was a real person. Like who knows? It's like it's like King Arthur. Like there have been plenty of kings that King Arthur was
He
based
was
on,
king.
but I'm not sure if he was like the real deal. But
I
So
I don't think King Arthur was a real person. I don't think it lines up with just lineage wise.
yeah, no, it's hell no. Like even if he was like a real person, like all that stuff, it's super made up about him, and we would practically know next to nothing. I mean, Merlin, come on,
Yeah,
that would
I
be super
think
made.
that I think you can tell the difference between like stories and historical events
dude,
based off the
forget about King Arthur. Alexander the
fiction.
Great was a freaking monster.
Oh, that yeah, he's definitely
He
that
conquered
dude.
land.
Oh my God, like we could just King Arthur didn't even need to exist. We could just use Alexander the Great and
Alexander the
just
Great.
around him.
Hey, I hate
That's a
to butt
great
in, but
example.
it's getting kind of late. I'm gonna grab some dinner. You guys
All
enjoy the
right,
rest of the
you do that. Pleasure talking with
podcast.
you.
Yeah,
Okay,
It's
bye.
been
I love
awesome,
you.
man. Love you,
love you
Nick.
too.
You've been awesome. But
Marry me.
excuse me, marry whom?
You gotta leave on
You
a
have
good
to
note.
you have to take me out to dinner first, man. But
Damn.
yeah, I'm not ho. But like I was saying, like you can't like disprove Jesus. Like Jesus was a real person for sure. Like
Right.
he
You can say
now
he's not the
I
son of
think
God by all
through a
means.
lot of aspects of Jesus for one, but in terms of like a person to exist, I think yeah, he definitely had to because like prophets tend to like someone with that kind of influence would definitely have had to at
yeah.
least existed.
Just like Jesus and Muhammad. I think Muhammad's insane, but I absolutely believe he was a real person.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Muhammad was a real person for
we
sure.
actually had no. We have the thing is with Muhammad, right? Muhammad came like centuries, or did he come millennia? No, centuries, right?
It
After
was
Jesus.
centuries. Definitely not millennia. That's way too
Yeah,
long.
centuries after Jesus, and with that, you have historical documents because we're already past in like the Middle Ages and shit. And
Exactly.
but before that, we're at the start of Western societies with Jesus.
But man, like this has been a super amazing stream though. Like I'm so glad you guys came on. I'm probably gonna end it.
Yeah, it turned out very great.
Yeah.
Too bad for the first half you were ignoring me, you bitch.
Yeah.
We were
I'm so
ignoring
sorry.
you, dude.
I'm so sorry.
Wait, I have a question about that, right? I have a question.
Yeah.
So you were participating in the conversation,
Yeah.
Jerome, right?
Yeah. The entire time.
When you were talking, right? And
Yes.
was there just moments where we were talking over you and you just didn't realize, you just thought we were rude or something?
Yeah, I was like, fuck these guys.
We're so sorry, man. Like we legit
No,
did not know until somebody pointed out, like, oh, like I think Jerome is talking. I think Roman Catholic is talking, but we just
fucking
can't hear him.
Discord at its finest. You don't really need to struggle saying my name as Jerome, Zerom, or whatever. You just call me Slayer, bitches of iFunny, or whatever works for you. You know, don't want you struggling there.
Yeah, but like,
Can
like,
I call you daddy?
Oh,
honey, you can call me whatever you want,
bro.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. Once the stream goes off, these niggas are gonna start fucking, I guess. But I mean,
oh my god,
like, it's been a pretty great stream though. Like, I'm so glad you guys came out. Lord, thank you so much. Like, you've been awesome.
Yes.
Rumple Foreskin, you've been awesome. Slayer, you've been awesome. Nicholas has been awesome. I wish we got Ape War on, but I think he had the dip for a little bit. I think
yeah, probably shit happens.
I think he just couldn't come around. But I'm glad Roman came. I'm glad Rommel's socks came, even though he didn't really get to say too much. But you know, thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for coming on the show. You all been awesome. Like,
it was a great time. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Like, we gotta bring you guys back on. You know,
This has been nice.
Great. Yeah.
Yes.
And this is what it's about. Having a nice dialogue.
Dude, tell me the day. I'll be on.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm so glad you guys came on. Like, this is what it's about. Having a good dialogue, not being retarded, autistic, and
oh, absolutely.
Freaking, like a little debate stage or like conversation stage.
Right. There's a lot of things I disagree with Marshall, but I fucking love Marshall as a person. They bring up great ideas, great conversation, great dialogue, and they stand by what they believe in. And what more can you ask in a conversation?
Exactly.
Shut the fuck up. I'm going to put you in the oven. Sorry,
Oh my
god.
It's not my cat. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Get out of here.
My God. I thought she was talking to you, Slayer. I'm like, Jesus.
No.
Guys, I just got a fucking 10 out of 100 on my physics midterm.
Ooh.
Congrats.
It's worth 30%.
Freaking congrats.
Not too late.
Let me just
not too late being a stripper.
Dude, it's my last physics class. It's fucking thermodynamics. Fuck that shit.
See you all in the next episode of Monkey Business. Monkeys.
See ya. I love you.